Someone is clearly distressed, crying out about someone. The girl screams for a friend while others watch with numbers above them. A digital clock shows 17 seconds remaining on the timer. She begs desperately, promising to do anything as the counter hits 0. Heavy boots step forward, signaling an imminent confrontation. Her profile shows intense anguish and a wide-open mouth. A sudden, sharp sound effect indicates a rapid movement or impact. The white-haired figure celebrates a friend count of 0, mocking control. The timer resets to 0 as the figure announces the penalty time. The girl kneels in fear as the others observe her 0 score. Listen up, everyone. Someone who cannot manage their friend count doesn't deserve a future. The figure lunges forward menacingly. A burst of intense pink energy engulfs the student's head violently. A loud sound effect emphasizes the sudden, shocking termination. A blue-haired boy observes, stating this classroom has changed. The teacher surveys the room, seeing a fallen student nearby. The student's lifeless form is covered in the strange pink residue. The scene shifts back to normal, showing students chatting casually. Hayato Makabe is introduced, calmly reading a small book. Hayato reacts with surprise as students approach his desk loudly. Two girls aggressively confront Hayato while he remains silent. Hayato stands up, clutching his small book, looking tense. A hand forcefully turns on a nearby water faucet. Hayato leans down to the running water, whispering, "I'm starving." Several pairs of legs belonging to the approaching girls are shown. Someone forcefully shoves Hayato's head toward the water fountain, shouting, "Whoa!" The blonde girl, Mai Nanasaka, yells, "That hurt! You're in the way, loser!" Hayato stammers, but, trying to explain the situation. The girls, including Kane Tozawa and Saki Kobayashi, mock his poverty. Hayato sighs in resignation, muttering, "Ugh," under the pressure. The mean girls declare they must leave, not wasting time on bottom feeders. Hayato sees his distressed reflection in the window glass. He wipes his face near the school's old-fashioned water spigots. A close-up shows his simple, worn-looking athletic shoes. Hayato enters the classroom, pausing briefly at the doorway. The classroom is full of students, some looking indifferent or focused on phones. He reacts internally, exclaiming, "What the hell," at the situation. Someone mocks him for showering at school due to being poor. They joke that next, he will probably start doing laundry here too. Hayato approaches his desk, placing his hand near a book. The student looks unsettled by the sudden attention. A strange figure announces they are Miya Kuzuka, dispatched by the government. The class wonders if this means a new teacher from the government. He clarifies he is a teacher in the sense he will instruct them all. Maya Kuzuka declares this is a government order for everyone to wear contact lenses. One student notes they are already wearing contacts, questioning the order. The teacher explains the lenses automatically adjust vision, even over glasses. He thinks the auto-adjustment sounds amazing while preparing to insert a lens. He wonders about the true purpose of this strange government mandate. Everyone else in the room is already putting on their new lenses. A student questions the teacher about this strange contact lens experiment. The protagonist's eye focuses, noticing something unusual about his vision. She exclaims she can see numbers floating above everyone's heads now. The teacher dramatically writes on the chalkboard with intense focus. The words "friend counter" appear as the teacher collapses below. The teacher explains the number shows how many friends each person has. The blue-haired student declares everyone is now part of a government project. The teacher writes "friend counter friendship culling project" on the board. He warns they cannot form friendships outside of this specific classroom. A countdown timer shows 24 hours remaining before the consequence begins. The teacher confirms the deadline is 5th period tomorrow indeed. Someone questions this experiment, noting friendship dissolves by mutual consent. The teacher warns them not to joke about dying without friends. A student demands an end to this nonsense, clearly confused. He tries to adjust his glasses, showing his disbelief. He touches his eye, exclaiming, "Whoa!" as something appears. A shocking event occurs as pink liquid explodes from the student's face. The student collapses, covered in pink residue, as the teacher asks if they understand. The teacher instructs them not to remove the contacts and to finish the experiment. The blue-haired student stares in horror as his timer hits 0. The instructor carries a briefcase splattered with bright pink residue. He warns them that human connections determine life and death. Learn well. The teacher tells the students to use their limited intelligence now. The classroom is dark, showing students with glowing numbers above them. The blue-haired student panics, realizing he must make friends in 24 hours. With the timer at 0, he desperately thinks he needs to escape. He runs down the hallway, trying to get far away unnoticed. His timer hits 0 as he realizes his attempt to flee failed. He sees the strange teacher descending the stairs, exclaiming, "Crap!" The blue-haired student notices another student approaching him in the hall. The blue-haired student notes the different color timer, wondering if it's someone from another class. The other student asks if he is also attempting to escape. He quietly confirms with a simple, "Yeah." The blue-haired student urgently warns that someone is coming and tells him to jump first. He opens the window, preparing to make his exit. The blue-haired student jumps out, letting out a frustrated, "Ugh." He lands roughly on the grass outside, still under the timer's effect. Suddenly, his eyes violently erupt with a shocking magenta liquid. The blue-haired student yells, "Hey!" looking down in alarm. A hand reaches out, embracing the now affected student, recognizing you. The white-haired figure demands, "What are you doing?" with a menacing look. He accuses the blue-haired student of testing an escape plan involving sacrifice. The blue-haired student vehemently denies any such manipulative intentions. The white-haired figure explains the experiment is a harsh lesson, not about friendship. He states the real world demands you spread trust, then use people to survive. The pink substance spreads, affecting the surrounding environment and creatures. The lesson continues. Make others trust you, then use them as stepping stones. The white-haired figure calls the student Zero, noting his low rank. He warns the student to be careful not to become an easy target. The blue-haired student is left stunned, questioning the meaning of target. Night falls over the school building under a pale moon. Students eat lunch, one comments on another's food. Zero feels isolated. Zero reflects on having friends and his own lack of appetite. Students with ranks 3 and 4 chat. Zero wishes for connection. Others discuss the grim reality. If Zero's rank changes, someone dies. The white-haired figure's warning echoes. Zero questions if he is a sacrifice. Zero is angered, feeling his isolation makes him a target for elimination. A speaker announces that phone restrictions have suddenly been lifted. A warning follows. Discussing the experiment results in penalties and censorship. Students with ranks 2 and 3 look concerned as others start calling. Zero looks surprised while checking his suddenly active phone. He sees a message from Kisaki asking where he is. Another message from Kisaki demands money, which Zero dismisses with a "Chi." Zero is frustrated, muttering that this situation is always the same. He walks up the exterior stairs of an apartment building as evening sets. Zero arrives at the door, hearing strange noises from inside. Loud, suggestive sounds and demands echo from behind the door. Zero's expression darkens as he hears pleas for more fortune. He pauses, hand hovering near the door, listening intently. Inside, a woman happily complies with a large man's demands. The man demands the abundant fortune be stored within the woman's body. The man greets Hayato, noting how much he has grown since last time. The man offers blessings to Hayato while showering him with golden confetti. Hayato responds with thanks while the woman excitedly records the moment on her phone. The group enters the room where a young girl sits alone near a pile of clothes. The girl looks up, addressing the newcomer as Big Brother. The man looms over Kisaki-chan with an unsettling, menacing expression. He suggests she visit the dojo often to store more fortune in her body. The woman happily encourages Kisaki to receive lots of fortune while applying lipstick. The man asks Hayato about starting high school, suggesting it is time for him too. The man refuses their suggestion with a wide, unsettling grin. The woman protests, showing money as Hayato's designated share. The man insists Hayato must start earning and contributing to the cult soon. He boasts Kisaki-chan is already contributing, just like her mother. Hayato urgently calls for Kisaki, warning her away from that dojo. He warns her about the unknown consequences of going there. The woman screams Hayato's name, grabbing him with intense emotion. Hayato questions their words, touching his neck nervously. He demands if they know the misery of not storing fortune. She yells that without fortune, he will be unhappy now and miserable later. He despairs that this current life is already endlessly miserable. A text message asks if he should meet Kisaki because it might rain. The reply button suggests lending money, as water splashes nearby. Hayato wonders what will happen to Kisaki if he dies now. He reassures her he cannot leave school due to classes, but stay calm. He resolves to definitely survive this ordeal and return to them. He decides he needs to go wash his face in the restroom. Hayato walks down the school hallway toward the facilities. He encounters someone in the hallway, showing a surprised reaction. The system identifies the girl as Ami Shirano, causing him to pause. Hayato and Ami stand awkwardly near the restroom door. Hayato turns away, saying a simple, "Hey." He turns back, questioning her with a sharp, "What?" Ami brightly asks if he wants to become friends. Hayato looks completely stunned by the sudden proposition. He repeats in disbelief, "Me and friends?" Suddenly, 2 other girls rush in, calling out, "Ami-chan!" They exclaim they have been searching for Ami. Ami starts to react as her friends surround her happily. Hayato interrupts, stating he needs to talk to her, then leaves. He wonders aloud what that interaction was all about. He steps back, looking confused by the sudden departure. The girls Ami was with look up as he approaches them. Hayato tries to bring up their previous conversation with Ami. The blonde girl angrily confronts Hayato for bothering her friend. Hayato declares he also needs to make friends, causing shock. The angry girl challenges anyone to be friends with this guy. She reveals a charm his mother sold to her father for a high price. He is stunned that the charm cost 50,000 yen. He concludes that the cult associated with the charm is insane. She claims her mother's seduction ruined her parents' marriage and stole money. He apologizes for the situation but insists he did nothing wrong. She reveals the charm contained a disgusting old man's fingernail. She yells at him not to speak of happiness after destroying a family. He wonders if dying would bring her enough fortune. The scene shifts to a bright, clear day outside the school building. A digital clock displays a countdown nearing 1 hour remaining. He panics, seeing visions of himself suffering, fearing the same fate. A girl calls out to Shiho, asking to borrow something because she is bored. The other girl questions this request, holding her newly purchased book. The aggressive girl demands the item, threatening their friendship. The girl reluctantly agrees, then smugly tells her to cherish friends. A boy comments on Mai being unpleasant for always borrowing things. He thinks about his impending doom while others worry about manga. He panics, realizing the situation is bad and he cannot avoid death. He calms down, deciding to give Mai his manga if she likes it. He retrieves an older manga, hoping it will suffice for the exchange. He looks around, confused, realizing the item is no longer present. He shouts in distress, seeing his manga has completely vanished. He confirms it was there yesterday, realizing someone must have taken it. What kind of mentality steals in this situation? Others gossip that Mai is unpleasant for always borrowing things. He realizes it was her, pointing to the girl with number 8. But does she like manga that much since she wasn't reading the stolen one? The clock shows 14 minutes and 5 seconds remaining. Time to change things. Someone mentions Mai still hasn't returned his electronic dictionary, even though she never studies. He considers this possibility. Perhaps there is a reason for her actions. He checks his phone. The time is 11:25. Seeing something on his phone makes him react with shock and surprise. He quickly stands up, calling out a simple, "Hey!" He asks if the dictionary was gray with a name written on the back, confusing the girls. The blonde girl asks how he knew those specific details about the item. He shows them his phone, revealing the electronic dictionary was sold a week ago. The dark-haired girl angrily claims the item is hers, and the name was erased. He confronts Mai, accusing her of selling his electronic dictionary on an app. The blonde girl feigns ignorance, asking what he is talking about. The dark-haired girl points at the phone, asking if the account belongs to the blonde. The blonde whispers that confronting Mai will have negative consequences later. The blonde girl reacts with shock, saying, "What?" and "No way." The blonde girl recognizes the item, exclaiming that it is the DVD set she lent Mai. The blonde girl is shocked someone is selling the signed manga for profit. The blonde girl challenges the accuser to prove the account is hers. The male student arrives, demanding to see the phone of the girl named Mai. He explains the manga was drawn 15 years ago by his father's friend. The dark-haired girl realizes the sound was a purchase notification. The blonde girl stares intensely, holding her phone with a menacing look. The boy confronts the blonde, asking to see the notification screen since he bought it. The blonde girl vehemently denies any wrongdoing, shouting false accusations. The boy grabs her, noting the shipping date was weeks away. He takes the DVD set, stating he will just take it now since it is present. The purple-haired girl hands something over, saying, "Here you go." The group confronts the boy, stating they do not want friends who are thieves. The blonde girl questions what they are saying with a shocked expression. Someone declares ending friendships, preferring Hayato over Mai. A red-haired boy reveals Mai suggested ostracizing and sacrificing Hayato. Others agree, finding that kind of behavior scary and undesirable in their class. The red-haired boy tells Mai her friend count has dropped to 1. He announces ending their friendship too, saying, "Bye-bye," as he leaves. The blonde girl watches him go, pleading, "Wait, hold on." Her friend count display glitches to 0 as she screams in distress. A timer shows 4 minutes and 19 seconds remaining ominously. The blonde girl screams about being dirty and betrayed by someone. Another girl complains about always buying drinks for the blonde girl. A third girl admits she always wanted to be in different classes. The blonde girl, now on the floor, is told it is her own fault. A shadowy figure sighs, feeling surprisingly refreshed after the drama. A boy with blue hair is asked if he wants to be friends by a girl. The blue-haired boy reacts with shock, asking if that is truly acceptable. A girl with glasses asks if she can also become his friend. He happily agrees, relieved he will not face a terrible consequence. The blonde girl's intense red eyes show growing distress and anger. A countdown timer flashes red above the girl crawling across the classroom floor. She cries out in anguish as the pressure seems to mount intensely. Begging someone to be her friend again, she offers to pay for past drinks. The two girls reject her offer, stating they want nothing to do with her. The blue-haired boy watches the desperate scene unfold with others nearby. She realizes someone must agree, desperately whispering about a friend. She screams for a friend as the remaining time ticks down rapidly. Students observe the situation, noting 17 seconds remain, feeling uneasy. With 0 seconds left, she pleads desperately, hands clasped in prayer. A sudden sound effect echoes as the scene shifts away from the classroom. The menacing figure declares the friend count is 0, unable to control the situation. The girl repeats, "friend," with glowing eyes, a lock symbol appearing above her head. Intense energy erupts from the girl as a massive failure notification appears. The blue-haired boy realizes he survived and can see Kisaki again in the real world. The white-haired figure comments on people falling into the abyss for small gains. Hazmat-suited figures handle the aftermath, noting she lost everyone's trust due to greed. The girl's sealed form shows glowing eyes and purple residue as she is bagged. The narrator states no one helped her because she created deep hatred deserving punishment. The remaining students look on with concern as the blue-haired boy moves forward. The white-haired figure declares everyone dies except the group with the most friends. The blue-haired boy questions if this deadly game is truly continuing. A close-up shows the number above the boy's head has changed to 8. He points out the number is back to 0 for some students. A digital clock shows the time limit is nearly 24 hours away. The rule repeats, only the group with the most friends survives this. He exclaims that they can all survive this ordeal. The blue-haired boy passionately declares everyone can be saved now. The white-haired figure's eyes glow menacingly as the darkness spreads. A girl with glasses asks for clarification on what he means. If everyone becomes friends, they form one massive survival group. This means that this time, nobody has to face elimination. Tomitaka, known as Brandon, displays a confident, almost predatory look. Brandon scoffs, refusing to associate with what he considers inferior people. The white-haired figure finds this dynamic quite interesting to observe. Some students approach while Brandon is left sprawled on the floor. Brandon's faction is already quite substantial in number, noted by the observers. Brandon takes a long drink, seemingly recovering or preparing for something. He looks up with a wide, triumphant smile, announcing everyone is present. Brandon confirms his group now consists of 12 individuals ready to proceed. Someone realized the situation was becoming quite serious. He noted the class only had 2 people currently, meaning the majority was unattainable. Others questioned Brandon's actions, urging unity to avoid fatalities. A rival mocked Brandon, comparing him to a struggling goldfish. This realization meant those outside Brandon's group faced certain peril. Sora Hosoya commented that Brandon simply did not comprehend the situation. Sora pointed out the rival's expensive-looking wristwatch. The rival wore a distinctive earring, suggesting status. A flashy necklace also adorned the rival's neck. Sora concluded the rival only sought attention and to appear impressive. Just watch. The admirer praised the watch and asked to join the group, offering errands. Brandon acknowledged Sora's understanding and welcomed the new member aboard. The new recruit's number count visibly increased to 13. 2 new figures asked who else wanted to join the guaranteed survival group. 2 girls looked on with uncertainty as the recruitment continued. Both girls urgently demanded entry, wanting to join the group too. Sora pointed out that flattery was enough to gain entry. Seemingly, Sora urged his friend to join Brandon's group quickly for survival. Sora suddenly remembered an important prerequisite for joining the group. Brandon demanded 100,000 yen as the fee to join his powerful group. The 2 girls reacted with shock and confusion to the demand. Brandon declared firmly that he chose his friends over the money. The green-haired girl screamed, realizing the cost was 100,000 yen. The other girl expressed distress, stating she lacked that significant amount of money. Sora questioned Brandon's decision with a look of utter disbelief. A sinister figure chuckled, calling this place a perfect hunting ground. Sora insisted that uniting everyone would ensure everyone's salvation. The strange man acknowledged Sora's thinking as beautiful and correct. However, he added that such correctness should be framed and displayed. The unsettling figure then vanished, promising to see them all tomorrow. He cheerfully offered to accept electronic payments for his demands. Pay 1 million yen, and this menacing figure promised friendship. The students, marked with glowing numbers, watched the unfolding situation. One student asked Hayato for money, but he refused immediately. Hayato revealed he lacked even 100,000 yen himself. The demanding man called out, urging them to unite and come over. He pressed them, asking if they had smartphones to arrange payment. He suggested getting help from parents or friends at other schools. The green-haired boy explained his family was poor and friendless for loans. The demanding figure shouted to hurry, threatening to increase the price. The girl panicked, fearing death without the required 100,000 yen. Someone called for everyone to wait and think calmly about the situation. A student noted Brandon's group was the largest faction currently. He suggested uniting the remaining 10 people to counter Brandon's power. The demanding figure smirked, suggesting poaching 2 members was impossible. The blue-haired boy looked confused as the girl showed him something. The girl asked if he truly knew nothing about the wealthy antagonist. The boy was shocked seeing Brandon's social media filled with luxury items. The purple-haired girl explained Brandon was rumored to be in a pyramid scheme. She added he sold materials on how to rapidly increase one's wealth. He was apparently handing out money and goods to his followers. The blue-haired boy and Shiori reacted strongly to this news. Brandon's followers prioritized accessories over human lives, shockingly. A close-up shows someone lighting a cigarette with a bright flame. The protagonist warned against being fooled by small cash. 10 lives were at stake. Brandon mockingly asked someone to lend him their arm for a second. The antagonist grabbed the arm, causing a surprised reaction. Brandon's eyes glowed as he questioned the term petty cash. He then forcefully took something from the subdued person's arm. Brandon smirked, warning the others not to underestimate the power of money. After your speech, would anyone take a cigarette burn on their arm? He stomped on a desk, declaring, "Don't underestimate our friendship." He demanded 100,000 yen if life was so precious to you. A close-up shows a subtle, tense facial expression. Girls urged others to join the group, claiming they were worth over 1 million yen. The bespectacled student reacted with visible distress and reluctance. One person agreed to join, stating they definitely didn't want to perish like that. The remaining students realized only a few people were left to decide. They reacted with surprise, questioning who was left in the situation. The antagonist approached Shiori, asking why she was hesitating. She exclaimed they had been friends since middle school. Another student declared they did not want to perish, offering payment. The bespectacled student, Lord Brandon, looked on with surprise. A student prostrated himself, begging to join the group. Wataru Sasaba explained his parents were ill and he lacked the funds. The leader considered the request, stating he was not a demon. He added that joining would not be free for fairness to others. Wataru profusely thanked him, promising to do anything required. The leader then announced they would have an entrance exam. Wataru reacted with shock, questioning the entrance exam. The leader tested Wataru, demanding work worth 100,000 yen. He explained he was often ambushed near the school gate lately. A large hand grabbed Wataru's shoulder with intensity. The leader wanted Wataru to drive away those troublesome guys. The leader called out to Ken and told him to handle it. Ken responded with an enthusiastic, "Yes, sir," showing readiness. Ken Takano, holding a ring, told Wataru to hit his face or stomach. Wataru was confused by the sudden turn of events. Ken prepared himself, clenching his fist with visible tension. Ken delivered a powerful strike directly to Wataru's face. Wataru reacted with shock and a small trickle of blood appeared. Ken demanded to know why Wataru was hesitating now. Wataru stumbled backward, bracing himself near the lockers. Wataru groaned, touching his face while tears welled up. The others mocked Wataru, calling him a complete failure. Ken sternly commanded Wataru to continue the painful exercise. Another student questioned Wataru's lack of fighting instinct. Ken instructed Wataru to focus and remember the lesson. The aggressive student leaned in, mentioning Mai's demise. He then chillingly asked if Wataru wanted a similar fate. Wataru screamed in intense agony as the counter above him flashed 0. The aggressive student grabbed Wataru, shouting, "Whoa!" as their numbers glowed. Wataru let out a sharp cry of pain during the intense confrontation. The other students watched as the orange-haired boy was pushed down. The aggressor yelled about the pain while throwing a forceful strike. A powerful impact landed, causing Wataru's head to violently recoil. Wataru was thrown back, impacting the classroom window with force. The bully shouted about Wataru making him look bad, shattering glass. Another student yelled a warning as someone fell through the broken window. The aggressor grabbed Wataru's collar, demanding attention from both of them. Wataru's face shows intense distress under the menacing red glow. The aggressor holds Wataru suspended outside the shattered window frame. Wataru reaches out desperately as a large, indistinct object approaches. A shocking impact causes a burst of bright magenta energy around Wataru's head. The orange-haired student leans out, speechless, observing the aftermath below. He reacts with shock, questioning the strange glowing number above his head. A different student with glasses simply grunts in annoyance. Ugh! Someone explains that leaving through the window counts as an escape attempt penalty. The larger antagonist praises the orange-haired student, calling Wataru a scarecrow. The orange-haired student stares, realizing the match outcome was predetermined. The antagonist states the goal is to satisfy those who paid 100,000 yen. Wataru, with a glowing number, admits he nearly faced elimination too. The confident antagonist approaches, saying a simple, "Hey." The antagonist confronts the purple-haired student, who reacts strongly. The antagonist, with a low number, demands they quickly ignite something. The purple-haired student agrees, taking out a lighter. The bespectacled student observes the interaction, realizing the antagonist never wanted Wataru involved. The group wonders if collecting 100,000 yen is the sole survival method. Someone laments their lack of funds, noting the manipulator will just demand more money later. The bespectacled student declares they must break free from his control. The green-haired student questions how they can possibly break free. The antagonist boasts about his existing money and power, making escape seem impossible. The bespectacled student struggles, trying to formulate a plan against the powerful foe. He receives a message on his phone, realizing it is from his mother. His mother threatens to sell his father's treasured manga and encyclopedias. He reacts with frustration, wishing for a break from these constant pressures. His finger hovers over the screen, preparing to respond to the threat. He urgently messages back, pleading not to sell the sentimental items. A flashback shows happy memories of reading those books with his father. His mother insists he focus on donations for his father's reincarnation, offering 5,000 yen. The cult leader looms, demanding more money, stressing the protagonist. Others mock appearances, suggesting everyone is easily deceived by looks. He realizes both the cult leader and Brandon are fundamentally terrible people. A sudden realization hits him as he sees a stack of bound papers. He decides he must emulate the success of Brandon or the cult leader. He quickly moves, his feet making a swift sound as he departs. Classmates call out, questioning where he is suddenly rushing off to. He speeds away, determined to find something important right now. The destination is clearly marked, the library. In the library, he searches the shelves, glowing with focus. He exclaims, "This is it," believing this item will save them all. The sun sets over the school building as the search concludes. Back in the classroom, students with glowing numbers remain present. A classmate notes that Hayato still has not returned at all. The two students look concerned about the missing person's absence. A confident student suggests playing a game, offering friendship as the prize. A group of students with glowing numbers smirks menacingly together. The girl warns her friend not to make any eye contact with them. The challenging student states he likes people with a fighting spirit. Another student mocks the green-haired boy, calling him trash for hiding. A sudden sound effect emphasizes the tension as someone moves closer. The confident student with glowing number 8 grins widely at the confrontation. He claims the prior incident was an accident, planning a few hits first. He then reveals a softer side, stating he doesn't want anyone to die. Proposing a deal, he suggests a friendly game of tug-of-war instead. The green-haired boy reacts with surprise to the unexpected game suggestion. The girl assures her friend it is just a game, accepting the challenge. The scene shifts to the school building as evening settles outside. A rope is set up between the green-haired boy and a smaller figure. The main antagonist sits, ready to start the tug-of-war with his group. The green-haired boy pauses, questioning the required number of participants for tug-of-war. He notes that one side only has a single, small girl participating. The girl next to him wonders about Shiori's involvement, thinking it should be easy. The antagonist grins, declaring all players are now assembled for the event. The blonde boy asks if the opposing team is also prepared for the challenge. The green-haired boy and the girl enter carrying heavy-looking blue buckets. Hands place the 2 buckets down, suggesting they are part of the setup. The green-haired boy reacts with shock, demanding to know what the buckets are. The antagonist reveals the buckets are special glass slippers and demands excitement. The girl reacts with wide-eyed disbelief to the strange game equipment. The glowing contents of the bucket make the girl state she cannot wear them. The antagonist insists she must wear the items, suggesting understanding will follow. Both students look stunned as glowing numbers appear above their heads. The antagonists grin menacingly, all displaying the number 8 above them. The girl reluctantly steps into one of the glowing blue buckets. Her foot sinks into the strange, glowing liquid inside the container. The girl screams in distress as the process begins, splattering red. The main antagonist yells for her to quickly put the items on. The girl cries out in pain, shaking while standing in both buckets. Another antagonist yells at the green-haired boy to immediately comply too. The green-haired boy shows intense focus, sweat dripping from his face. He grimaces, stepping into the bucket with a reluctant sound. A hand snaps its fingers, declaring the start of the game. Shiori is urged to pull hard as the competition begins intensely. The antagonist warns of severe consequences if they fail the challenge. Shiori screams in agreement, determined to follow the instructions. Another participant cries out, struggling against the unseen force. One girl apologizes to Kanai, fearing Brandon's reaction more. Shiori cries, clearly distressed by the ongoing ordeal. The boy yells loudly while struggling to maintain his footing. A foot lies near shattered glass, suggesting a recent painful incident. Hayato shouts in shock, questioning the actions unfolding before him. Two girls call out to Hayato as one comforts the injured boy. The injured boy explains he must win to join the group for safety. He fears staying put, stating survival is uncertain otherwise. The boy insists they must leave, urging them to go now. Someone mocks them, predicting they will return crying like Wataru. The boy argues survival is only possible by joining the group. Hayato, the girl, and the boy leave the confrontation behind. A lit candle appears as someone cries out in pain. The boy asserts survival isn't solely about pleasing Brandon. The girl looks on with a worried expression. He reveals a plan that requires patience, advising them to skip the exam. Hayato calls out, trying to stop the departing boy. They watch as the boy walks away down the hallway. Red digital clocks show the time rapidly decreasing. The remaining pair panics about their limited remaining time. The green-haired boy questions what actions they can possibly take now. The girl desperately states she does not wish to meet an untimely end. Other students appear, looking surprised at the situation. The confident leader gloats, confirming his earlier prediction to the others. The green-haired boy wonders where Hayato went, fearing the worst outcome. A girl cries out, addressing the imposing figure as Lord Brandon. She crawls forward, begging to join his group and take any test. Brandon addresses Sora, then asks the green-haired boy about his decision. The boy realizes the harsh truth. Submission is the only path to survival. He looks up, desperately pleading for one more opportunity from the leader. Both the boy and girl bow deeply as a small tool appears. Brandon instructs them to use the pliers to remove each other's fingernails. The leader excitedly declares the start of their brutal entrance examination. He warns them he told them not to take the entrance exam. The newcomer stands there, looking quite composed despite the situation. The green-haired boy and girl anxiously ask where he has been. The girl urgently pleads with Hayato to beg alongside them immediately. Hayato observes the other students, including one seated confidently. The green-haired boy insists there was no other option in the end. The leader steps forward as the pliers drop near the kneeling pair. Hayato declares both of them must remain within his current group. He states there is no need for any further aggressive actions now. A powerful figure with glowing eyes reacts with confusion to this development. The powerful figure demands clarification about the disappearance. The blue-haired boy clarifies he means their current friend group. The enraged figure glows red, showing intense displeasure. He ominously mentions those who will soon suffer severe consequences. The angry character shouts not to act so arrogantly. The blue-haired boy reacts with a small sound as something hits him. A water bottle rolls away as a declaration is made. The blue-haired boy declares his group will soon be the largest. He directly addresses Kanai, Sei, and Ami, asking them to switch sides. The trio reacts in shock, stating they paid money and won't switch, calling Hayato delusional. The opposing leader boasts his group has 8 members versus your 3. The blue-haired boy counters that a reversal of reality is possible. He adjusts his glasses, preparing for the next move. He calls out Ken, as 2 members from the other side approach. One member questions where the approaching people are going. Another shouts, "Hey!" as one of the orange-haired members moves toward him. The blue-haired boy smiles, shaking hands with the orange-haired boy. Others question what is happening as the handshake occurs. The opposing leader yells at Ken, demanding to know his intentions. The leader and his remaining group members advance menacingly. The blue-haired boy insists Ken must keep his promise. Onlookers are amazed and confused by the sudden turn of events. Others protest loudly, noting they paid money for something now gone. The angry leader yells for everyone to stay exactly where they are. The opposing group confronts Ken's side, demanding an explanation. A small golden item is seen falling from the angry leader's shirt. The orange-haired member declares he is returning the item, owing nothing. Another boy is shown removing a bracelet from his wrist with a sound effect. A girl carefully picks up a tiny golden object with her fingers. Various returned trinkets and jewelry are placed onto a nearby table. The leader is shocked as glowing numbers appear above their heads. Others question why those individuals were supposed to be controlled by Brandon. A boy with glasses notes less than 20 minutes remain in the countdown. He asks the group what their next move will be. The dark-haired boy declares his intention to include all of you. The others react with confusion, finding the situation too bewildering. 2 students immediately ask to join the blue-haired boy's group. The blue-haired boy simply agrees to their request with a single word. A girl interrupts, stating they are the only remaining participants. She apologizes to Hayato, asking to join his group as well. The blue-haired boy confirms their entry with a confident, "Yeah, come on in." The remaining students watch as the situation shifts, with one figure standing above them. The student with 0 points questions the bizarre unfolding events happening around him. The blue-haired boy apologizes for the delay, announcing they can now escape death's fear. The newly joined students express their relief and unwavering faith in Hayato's success. The green-haired boy and the girl celebrate, having trusted Hayato to deliver. The green-haired boy teases the girl about her previous doubts regarding Hayato. Hayato smiles, admitting he understands why they might have doubted his return. A sudden outburst of anger erupts as one student violently confronts another. A close-up shows a tense physical struggle breaking out between 2 individuals. The defeated student warns them, "It's 20 against 1, just stay quiet." The opposing group, including the green-haired boy, stands ready with their scores displayed. The blonde student concedes, admitting Hayato wins and agrees to join their group. Hayato smiles, accepting the surrender with a simple, "Yeah, you're welcome." However, Hayato immediately adds a caveat. But there's one condition. Hayato, with a smug grin, declares he chooses his own friends. The blonde student reacts with outrage, shouting, "What are you saying, you bastard?" The green-haired boy and the girl protest, accusing him of doing the same thing. Another student confronts him, noting he betrayed Erika and their friendship. A third student demands the return of money, calling Hayato a scammer getting cocky. He grumbles that everyone is just saying what they want. He then asks what the condition is to become his friend. The condition is to hand over all the money they currently possess. The blonde student reacts with shock, exclaiming, "What?" The blue-haired boy clarifies this includes both cash and electronic money. Hayato counters that even he didn't scam that much money previously. He suggests 100,000 yen should be sufficient for the exchange. The blue-haired boy warns him to settle things with money now. He then threatens Hayato, asking if he wants his nails peeled off. Hayato looks down as a glowing tentacled object approaches him menacingly. The blue-haired boy reminds him he forgot something important. With under 5 minutes remaining, the opponent questions haggling. A wallet containing 2.5 million yen is revealed with a thought. The orange-haired boy kneels before Hayato, begging to join his group. Hayato holds the money, referencing the reason for this confrontation. He angrily accuses the kneeling boy of causing Wataru's demise for money. Hayato questions if the cash holds more value than human lives. The defeated figure scoffs, stating that life is not a mere toy. Hayato declares that if they are friends, that principle must be remembered. The countdown clock abruptly hits 0 with a harsh red line. The blonde girl wipes her eyes as the timer ticks down on the screen. Orange-haired and green-haired figures are shown as the countdown continues. The blue-haired boy looks serious while another student bows their head low. The survivors celebrate their successful evasion of the deadly game. They excitedly ask Hayato how he managed to secure their allies. Hayato reveals a bag filled with what appears to be cash. Others react with shock, exclaiming that it looks like a fortune. Hayato suggests their perception is based only on a quick glance. He explains that he bribed Brandon's followers using this method. The other student realizes this explains his prolonged absence. He states he will pay the remaining 80,000 by electronic money transfer. The white-haired figure claims friendship and trust were just money in disguise. He emphasizes that those who think they have real bonds are mistaken. The white-haired figure warns those possessing fakes to be careful not to deceive themselves. He grins maniacally, suggesting a dark realization is dawning. The students, marked with the number 21, look on with confusion. The unsettling figure announces, "Well, anyway, good work, everyone." He then declares it is time for a break and asks them to follow. The figure eagerly gestures for them to follow him down the hall. They walk away as he directs them toward the room labeled cooking room. They enter the room, questioning the strange setup with steaming bowls. The students notice name tags, including Ken Takano's, confirming their identities. The unsettling figure with sharp teeth demands 7 people sit at each table. He announces a small party to celebrate their hard work, urging them to enjoy themselves. The students react with surprise and appreciation for the delicious-looking hot pot. Naohiko Kumimazaki politely asks if ponzu sauce is available for the meal. The instructor reacts with a sharp, "Huh?" while his eyes turn menacingly red. He fiercely warns them not to underestimate the hot pot broth's inherent flavor. Startled, Naohiko quickly apologizes and promises to appreciate the ingredients fully. One girl expresses a desire to share the food with her little brothers, prompting a question. She happily states she has 3 noisy but cute younger brothers. Another student mentions having a little sister, looking slightly shocked. A friend startles the blue-haired boy, telling him to chew his food properly. Others express surprise that Hayato managed to survive this long, perhaps due to a charm. One student suggests the survival might be due to a special fingernail charm. The blonde girl warns against discussing such things near the delicious food. Someone asks if the charm belonged to Hayato's mother, which is confirmed. The blonde girl insists no charm could save them, but another advises not to underestimate Hayato. The student who mentioned the charm quickly claims he was only joking and to relax. The blonde girl offers to share her extra meat, and he gratefully accepts. The blonde girl and the boy with the number 21 continue their meal preparation. The boy suggests they all survive to feed their families some hot pot, and the girl agrees. Someone reacts with confusion as they look towards the other tables. The group notices their displayed numbers have changed to 5, prompting questions. A strange figure explains the numbers show allies at each banquet table. A student is shocked, questioning the count of 5 instead of the expected 7, suggesting a glitch. The white-haired figure reveals the counter only tracks allies, not traitors. He chillingly states those plotting poison are not included in the ally count. The group stares in horror, realizing the implication of poison at the meal. The white-haired figure declares the banquet is reaching its climax and demands they reveal their hidden items. He warns them to stay quiet even if confused by the written instructions. Confirming the check, they must fold the chopstick sleeve and place it back. The revealed paper confirms another participant is plotting to poison the banquet. The blue-haired student clenches his fists, muttering again in frustration. The group looks down, realizing the danger after fighting so hard to survive. They question if enemies are still attempting to end their lives during this meal. A clenched fist shows intense resolve, stating he does not want anyone else to perish. A projector screen rolls down in the classroom setting above the chalkboard. A small, cute illustration shows the banquet dividing people into guests and poisoners. The counter shows trustworthy friends, excluding those planning harm, as they gather around the hot pot. But if escape is impossible, they must participate in the game. To survive this ordeal, he accepts the necessity of eliminating others, vowing survival. A frantic host calls for the wolfmen to enter the proceedings. 3 imposing figures in suits, identified as wolfmen, are instructed to remove the chopsticks. The host announces this small banquet will proceed through 3 distinct rounds. In each round, participants must put down chopsticks and choose someone for exile during the banquet phase. Then, they must use chopsticks to consume the hot pot during the subsequent poisoning phase. A participant questions the consequence of being exiled from the event. The host dramatically declares that exile means complete severance of all ties. Another participant reacts with shock and tension as the rules are revealed. One participant exclaimed in shock, realizing exile meant death. The host showed tools, a knife and a blowtorch for the execution. A close-up showed the intense, vibrating tension in the room. An angry participant pointed forward, signaling the start of the next phase. The rules shifted. The poisoner would secretly target one person with poison. A small creature illustrated the poison's extreme lethality, even against large animals. The participants reacted with stunned silence to the deadly implications. A serious host declared that all served food must be consumed completely. The group gathered around the hot pot, the atmosphere heavy with dread. Guests win if they outnumber poisoners after 3 rounds, causing poisoners' demise. Poisoners win if they match guests in 3 rounds, resulting in guest demise. The wolf-like figure confirms the participants have grasped the situation. A white-haired character dramatically reveals the game's name, Poisoning Werewolf. A shocked girl realizes this is simply a deadly killing game. The white-haired man reassures everyone with a calm, knowing gesture. He explains that as a special case, an antidote can neutralize the poison. The antidote master, marked by a green icon, can save 1 person per serving. However, only 1 antidote master exists and they cannot save themselves. The host excitedly declares the start of the first banquet phase now. The students, including the wolfman, look on with apprehension. The hourglass starts running, signaling the start of the 3-minute countdown. The host announces 3 minutes to discuss and decide who to exile, demanding they put down chopsticks. One student immediately protests loudly, asserting they are not the poisoner. Another student points out that everyone will claim to be a guest since exile means death. A distressed girl questions how they can possibly decide without any initial clues. The bespectacled leader focuses intently, preparing to address the group. He addresses everyone, stating he will ask a specific question only guests can answer. He instructs everyone who is a guest to immediately raise their hand. One student eagerly raises his hand, shouting that he is indeed a guest. The red-haired student watches the proceedings with a calculating expression. The orange-haired student intently watches the proceedings, hand raised. A blonde girl and a dark-haired girl also raise their hands, confused by the sudden demand. Another girl with pink-tipped hair raises her hand, hesitantly agreeing to the instruction. Several students raise their hands, confirming they fit the leader's specific criteria. Two students react strongly, claiming the role identification method is flawed because sleeves were removed. The student who raised his hand excitedly explains his proof. The kanji for guest was visible. The purple-haired girl dismisses this proof, calling the student foolish for his reasoning. The red-haired student points out that poisoner uses the identical kanji character. The red-haired student further criticizes the claimant, stating he proved himself an idiot instead. The blonde girl questions why they are wasting valuable time on such an obvious distraction. The dark-haired student reacts with a shocked, confused expression. The blonde girl pleads with them to stop this unproductive line of discussion. Silence falls over the group as they stare at the central figure by the steaming pot. A close-up shows a wide, unsettlingly eager grin spreading across a face. Someone exclaims in surprise, while another declares they have identified the culprit. The orange-haired student smirks, claiming to have found one very suspicious individual. He states he knows who the poisoner is, pointing to one very suspicious person. Someone asks who it is, and the dark-haired girl defensively claims she is a guest. The dark-haired student shouts that he is not a suspicious spectator either. The central student suggests proving roles in the first round is impossible. Only someone could ask that. Who is pretending to be a guest, Hayato? The group looks intently at the central figure, awaiting his response. The bespectacled student declares he was a guest from the very beginning. Someone questions this, asking why he requested everyone raise their hands then. He explains he learned something thanks to that action, showing 2 fingers. First, a poisoner would hesitate to raise their hand in this situation. Did I really ask about something only guests know? That's how they reasoned. Therefore, we can trust Hachiko. She raised her hand first. Plus, her words about the inscription turned out to be true, Hayato. You got it. Another student thinks this is foolishness, but trusting someone else might help them. What about the second point, they questioned. One person raised their hand much later than the others. Noted. If you were a guest, you would have responded immediately, they pointed out. Hachiko cried out, "I am a guest!" In shock. She explained her hesitation was due to the game starting too suddenly. Another student observed she clearly cannot lie, confirming suspicions. This means Ami is the poison master, they concluded. If we eliminate her, I gain a huge advantage, one schemed. Hayato is surprisingly useful in this situation, someone noted. I saw everything. When Ami opened the note, she became very nervous. Someone votes for Ami, asking if others agree with this choice. 2 students stare intensely across a table with food between them. A close-up shows a girl's face contorted in shock with glowing eyes. Another student declares he sees no reason to vote for Ami, causing surprise. The group looks at the dissenting student who is leaning back casually. He clarifies he only said she was possibly suspicious, not definitely the culprit. A girl with purple hair questions if Ami is the poison master, then a tense close-up shows a character gritting their teeth in frustration. Someone demands to know why Ami did not reveal her status immediately. She argues that if Ami had confessed, they would have immediately eliminated her. A menacing figure warns that only 1 minute remains until the vote. Someone questions why Ami is not the antidote master, causing confusion. A girl declares the reason is simply because she is the antidote master. Another character reacts with shock and disbelief to the revelation. A student demands to know which one of them is the true antidote master. He states that both Ami and Erika could be the antidote master. Therefore, they cannot eliminate either of them from suspicion right now. Someone recalls how hands were raised during the previous vote. This suggests Kanaz was also uncertain about the previous voting results. The dark-haired student then accuses Kanaz of being the culprit. She claims she knows what happened to Mai and who you are. The accused asks what she means, while the accuser explains actions were necessary for survival. Another student finds that statement coming from her quite amusing. The accuser directly states that they killed Mai. They argue that breaking friendship was unnecessary if they didn't want Mai dead. Someone reacts with shock, stating Hayato's methods are frightening. One student suggests siding with Hayato if he is on your side. The other questions why the first student is so against Hayato. The first student concludes that if Hayato scares her, she opposes him. Therefore, in other words, Kanaz is the poisoner. The hourglass shows time is running out, emphasizing urgency. The menacing figure declares it is time to vote now. Everyone closes their eyes as instructed for the voting process. He states he will approach everyone to determine who to expel. A wolf-like figure in a suit stands ready, making a sound. A hand points decisively toward a target in the darkness. A close-up shows the unsettling, sharp-toothed grin of the leader. He announces that the votes have been counted successfully. The leader reveals the person who understands the truth will be banished. A student reacts in shock as the countdown begins, pleading to stop. A glowing red container pulses with intense energy. A struggling figure cries out as they are forcibly held down. The text confirms the banished person is gone, sent straight to ruin. The leader offers a bowl containing a pink, unsettling liquid to a shocked student. Another student notes the counter now reads 4, implying a new stage. The wolf-like figure confirms the person was merely a guest before their removal. A gloved hand carefully ladles a strange, colorful substance into a white bowl. The wolfman announces the next phase is the poisoning round to the students. The grinning white-haired figure instructs everyone to close their eyes immediately. He warns that anyone opening their eyes besides the poisoners will perish. So, poisoners, open your eyes and point to the person you wish to eliminate. If your choice is correct, that person receives a dose of the toxin. If you choose incorrectly, we will randomly eliminate one person. The grinning figure points, indicating the selection process is underway. The timer shows 4 seconds remaining for the poisoner's decision. The targeted student with the number 4 above his head stands central. The target is chosen, and the wolfman addresses those with special roles. Open your eyes and select a person now, the instruction is given. A bright green substance splashes into a bowl with an energetic reaction. Attention, take your spoons and approach the food now. The 2 students cautiously eat their bowls, watching each other closely. One student drinks, realizing the substance is a potent toxin. The group sits around the table, the central pot steaming ominously. The blue-haired student realizes the master of antidote protected someone. Another student excitedly claims they will be invincible if protected repeatedly. The orange-haired student reacts with frustration, realizing the plan failed. It seems the master of antidote interfered with their scheme. It is now time for the second round of this deadly game. They are instructed to put down their utensils and decide who to eliminate. A student screams that Kanai has perished, causing immediate panic. The scheming student declares the blame is now shifted, planning to eliminate Hayato. Another student argues that this wouldn't happen if they hadn't started this action. They realize Hayato shared information to make them choose an exile. A girl exclaims that Kanai blamed Ken, causing confusion. One student notes that such tricks unfortunately lead to misunderstandings. Someone demands Hayato apologize to Kanai and say immediately. Say questions if they truly intend to expel him now. Another student shouts that he confused everyone, demanding action. The manipulator urges them to proceed with eliminating Hayato. He asks Ken if he also sides with him in this decision. Hayato realizes 2 people are already against him, feeling it is not good. He calls out the name Erika. Erika passionately declares she is on his side, not wanting to be near such a person. Hayato questions Ken if he is the instigator of this situation. Someone yells, asking what and accusing him of talking nonsense again. Another person emphatically agrees with the accusation. The angry girl screams, demanding to know how she could know that information. A different student shouts that he will not be fooled again, calling for a vote. Hayato quietly acknowledges the situation, saying, I see. He apologizes to Naohiko, revealing he is not actually a guest. Someone demands to know what Hayato is talking about with shock. They question if Naohiko is also the poisoner, reacting with surprise. Hayato states he won't mind if they vote him out now. The angry student exclaims 4 votes are in, ready to exclude Hayato. Naohiko interrupts, asking to say something before the vote proceeds. He stands facing the group, who all watch him intently. A close-up shows food items looking unsettlingly strange. Naohiko reveals with a smirk, I am the taster, Yada. Another student cries out, dismissing his claim as more nonsense. The orange-haired student yells not to listen, demanding they vote him out. During the poisoning round, I pointed at one person. Then what? The group watches the tense situation unfold. I discovered his role, and the other student reacted strongly. He was the poisoner, confirmed by the taster's realization. Intense eyes glare as the tension escalates dramatically. Someone shouts, Who is he? Who is the poisoner? Before naming this person, I want to ask for something. Master Yada, I beg you, please protect me. If we eliminate this person, another poisoner will surely kill me. You are truly a predictor, they exclaim, urging him to reveal the culprit. The prediction reveals the poisoner is Ken. Someone yells, Why are you lying? Eliminate him quickly! A girl shouts, Wait, but if Master Yada is truly the predictor, we cannot expel him. Another exclaims, "He spoke at the last moment, too suspicious." A girl agrees, "I agree. If it were true, he would have said it sooner." She continues, "Then I would have revealed my role at the last moment too. Because otherwise I would have been killed immediately." A terrifying figure appears, announcing, "Only 1 minute left." Panic erupts. "We have no time. Stop the nonsense and vote for Yada. Faster!" The blue-haired character screams, "Yes, I don't want to think anymore." A voice commands, "Say, remember." Then asks, "Who started suspecting Ken after everyone raised their hands?" Someone questions if the poisoner could be Kana in this tense moment. The white-haired character grins, declaring it is time to vote now. A hand dramatically points forward, emphasizing the urgency of the situation. A voice asks if everyone is ready for the impending decision. A figure states, "Excellent, this person knows what it's like to be eliminated." The orange-haired character reacts with distress as a timer counts down. 4. He slams his hand down hard onto the surface in frustration. He shouts in anger, his device glowing red with intense pressure. A sharp, glowing object pierces through a white surface against a red background. A wolf-like figure looms over the panicked character, timer still showing 4. Abstract colors splash across the dark background with intense energy. The wolf figure declares that friendship has been broken with a mixer. The orange-haired character shows a fresh mark. The timer still reads 4. The wolf figure looms over the girl, a syringe-like object nearby. The students look on in shock as the situation unfolds before them. One character speaks, noting the counter displays the number 4. He reveals the fallen individual was the poisoner to the group. A screen shows various wolf figures interacting while someone questions the casualties. An angry man shouts, demanding to know what the students are being taught. A calmer man advises the agitated deputy director to settle down. One man emphatically states he cannot approve this experiment. He then says he will discuss everything again with the soft-spoken person. A hand firmly grips a door handle, preparing to open it. An older man looks concerned while facing the other individual. The agitated man insists he will speak with whoever is responsible. Suddenly, a sharp object makes contact with the back of someone's neck. The agent stands over the downed person while another watches. The person on the floor is warned that they are being watched. The man in sunglasses grins menacingly while holding a length of rope. Meanwhile, the students continue their activity around a table, seemingly unaware. The first character realizes that Hayato was correct about something. Another character is touched, warned they almost faced a serious outcome. The girl expresses relief at connecting with the other person, praising their role. The bespectacled character declares the next person they intend to examine. The focus shifts to Erica, whose expression turns intensely angry. Hansel announces that the next person whose role he'll check is Erica. Erica panics, thinking she will definitely be exiled if he checks her, because her secret role is that of the poisoner for this game. She clenches her fists, wondering why he would announce his target publicly. Is he using her as a decoy to protect the real antidote master? She questions his blind trust in others, as there's no guarantee of protection. But outwardly, she acts relieved, saying this will prove she's a guest. The others watch the exchange while Hansel tells himself to remain calm. He knows a poisoner's main goal is to reduce the number of guests. So the real target isn't the person who is likely to be protected. The game master announces it's time for the second poisoning phase. Ami realizes Hayato is trying to frame her as the poisoner. The poisoner considers targeting her but realizes it's a trap. She wonders if the poison taster role is even real. With new resolve, she points forward, making her accusation. The game master then calls upon those with special roles to act. But the fingers of suspicion are pointed right back at him. He just gives them a sinister and knowing grin. It's time to eat, and the next victim will be revealed. Hansel calmly picks up a piece of food with his chopsticks. He takes a bite, his expression completely unreadable. Suddenly, another player collapses in agony. It's Sei, and she has been eliminated from the game. The game master announces it's time to decide who gets exiled. The others realize Sei might have been the antidote master. They turn to Hansel, demanding the results of his poison tasting. But one of them points out his role was never mentioned. Hansel confidently declares that Erica is the poisoner. Erica immediately fires back, exposing his supposed strategy. Now everyone is confused, wondering if Hansel is the real culprit. Erica asks why Hansel would exile his fellow poisoner, Ken. Another player claims it was to divert all suspicion from himself. But Erica points out Ken would have exposed him in return. Naohiko is overwhelmed, not knowing who is telling the truth. He's told that Hansel is just a cunning poisoner deceiving them. Suddenly, a hand is placed on his shoulder to get his attention. A girl claims she's the antidote master and will protect him. But Hansel calmly notes this is the 4th time she's done this. Her confident expression immediately crumbles into panic. He warns her that a lie stretched too far will break. Her composure shatters as the number on her head glows. With time running out, she desperately denies his accusations. But Hansel calmly points out she has lied 4 times already. He explains that it's likely an unconscious habit she has. Every time she lies, she instinctively grabs her collar. Hansel reveals he's been watching her closely the entire time. She realizes her nervous tic has completely given her away. He knew she was a poisoner from the very first vote. She demands to know why he didn't expose her sooner. He let her stay to draw out the other poisoner. Thanks to her, he confirmed Ken was the other poisoner. But another girl suddenly claims she is the real antidote master. Hansel calmly asks Ami if this is true. Ami confesses she almost revealed her role when she was under suspicion, but she feared it would get Erica eliminated and no one would believe her. Hayato is confused, thinking Ami was supposed to protect him. He tries to argue his case, stating he's just a guest, but Hansel quickly silences him with a simple gesture. He explains that he made up a fake role to convince everyone. As Hayato reels from the revelation, Erica shouts not to believe him. Erica desperately claims she is the antidote master, not Hayato. But Hansel calmly reveals that Ami is the real one. He points out Erica's tell. She's grabbing her collar again. A flashback shows how Hansel pieced the truth together. He had thanked Amy for protecting him on 2 occasions. The final vote confirms it. Erica has been found out. As the poisoner, Erica is swiftly removed from the game. The remaining students are left in a heavy, uneasy silence. The wolf-headed figures lead the eliminated player away. But someone is watching, vowing to put a stop to this. The one watching is a teacher, bound and helpless. But his resolve is firm. This deadly game must end. Suddenly, footsteps approach his location. The door to the room slowly creaks open. It's the vice principal, who seems pleased with the situation. He tells the teacher to stop resisting this government-controlled project. The vice principal shows his true colors, seeing no reason to resist. But the teacher furiously defends his students' lives and his principles. The vice principal claims this is just a way to build character. The teacher struggles, screaming that the country's future is being destroyed. The vice principal tries to bribe him with a massive salary increase. But the teacher refuses to trade his students' lives for money. The VP scoffs, saying they are just employees who follow orders. He then gets uncomfortably close, his expression turning cold. He grabs the teacher, warning him not to be so naive. In an act of defiance, the teacher spits right in his face. The vice principal is left completely stunned by this disrespect. The teacher grabs him, begging him to help end this dangerous experiment. But his plea is met with a swift, dismissive strike. The VP looks down, mocking him for being trapped by his beliefs. He's told to just watch the student's growth from the monitor, and that he'll be fired for abandoning his duties once it's over. The teacher is left tied up on the floor, completely helpless. The VP mentions that the next class is physical education. Realizing the danger, another teacher knows she can't just stand by. Meanwhile, the captured teacher struggles desperately to break free. He refuses to give up, determined to escape and help his students. He finds a sharp object and begins cutting through his bonds. He suddenly remembers a key detail from the experiment's manual. There are conditions to stop the program, and he plans to use them. Suddenly, he hears the sound of footsteps approaching him. The teacher turns around, alerted by the presence behind him. He runs, the desperate cries of his students echoing in his mind. He recalls the rule: a disaster will suspend the experiment. Inside a storage room, he finds several canisters of flammable liquid. He begins pouring the contents, determined to create a fire. But another person appears, expressing disappointment in his actions. The teacher turns around, shocked to see who it is. He furiously questions the educational value of this cruel project. The liquid continues to spill out onto the storage room floor. The figure states that education requires taking new steps. He says they've underestimated the importance of interpersonal relationships. The teacher, confused, asks what he means by that. He explains some people can't end relationships that should be severed, and others are unable to maintain beneficial connections. This can impact life more than individual abilities ever could. Therefore, collecting data on these skills is their urgent task. The teacher shouts that this doesn't justify their cruel methods. The figure says, friendship is the most suitable relationship for sampling. The teacher is hit with a painful, overwhelming sensation. He screams, questioning the sacrifices made by the students. But his defiance is met with cold, twisted logic. The figure explains that those who can't manage their friendships are deemed failures and will be discarded from the experiment. They believe these students should be happy to die for data. Realizing words are useless, the teacher decides to take action. He reaches for a drawer containing a lighter, but the figure suddenly appears right behind him. They reveal they've already removed any means of interference. The teacher is left completely powerless and horrified. He realizes there's one way to stop the experiment. A sudden flash of insight hits him. He had previously confirmed his own demise would halt the project. The figure had mocked his thorough reading of the rules. They told him to channel that energy into their twisted experiment. Their philosophy was simple. The weak provide data by perishing. But the teacher tightens his grip, refusing to accept this. He argues that such labels admit the failure of education itself. He declares someone like them has no right to be an educator. And with that, he brings the shovel down with full force. The blow lands, ending the confrontation in an instant. But Hansel is reminded of a different, more lethal encounter. He recalls the manual's clause permitting lethal force for protection. Back in the present, the teacher is left unconscious on the floor. Hansel stares, shaken by the events that just transpired. The scene then shifts to the outside of the school building. A group of students are gathered discussing their studies. One complains that the math curriculum is simply too broad. Another agrees, saying he can't dedicate that much time to it. They take a smoke break while continuing their conversation. One student remarks that he needs his smoke break to function, but another student furiously interrupts, reminding them about the upcoming entrance exams. The smoker just scoffs, telling him that all that stress will kill him. This response only makes the serious student even more enraged. He snatches the cigarette right out of the other guy's hand. He throws it onto the ground in front of everyone. Then he firmly stomps it out with his shoe. Just then, a voice from behind startles him completely. A much larger student appears, complaining about the smell. He orders the student Myakuzuka to move his foot immediately. He grabs Myakuzuka's arm, stopping him from destroying the evidence. Then he calmly picks up the cigarette butt from the ground. He holds it up, asking what exactly this is. Myakuzuka can only stammer in response, completely caught off guard. The teacher orders all of them to come with him. The others think they can just deny everything and get away with it. But Myakuzuka desperately tries to plead his innocence to the teacher. Their destination is the dreaded student guidance room. Myakuzuka waits anxiously outside the closed door. Suddenly, he hears the sound of the door unlocking. The door opens and he's told it's his turn to go in next. But the other student immediately bolts down the hallway, leaving him confused. He cautiously enters the room, finding the teacher waiting for him. The teacher looks at him, saying he knew it was him all along. Because all three of his friends pointed their fingers directly at him, Myakuzuka is completely stunned by their sudden and complete betrayal. He furiously denies it, saying he wouldn't risk his school recommendation. But the teacher presents some damning evidence found under his shoe. He's told to just give up and admit to the false accusation. Losing his temper, he grabs the teacher, who taunts him for his actions. He screams in frustration, asking why no one believes him. In his anger, he shoves the teacher to the ground. He thinks such a person has no right to be a teacher. Elsewhere, Commander Myakuzuka's expression suddenly changes. He receives an urgent call and asks what is happening. An operator on the other end calls for Commander Myakuzuka. He's summoned to the monitoring room for a secure call. Leaving the teacher on the floor, he says he's on his way. Myakuzuka quickly arrives at the main control center. He then uses his phone to access a secure terminal. He's asked if the data collection is proceeding smoothly. The caller expresses concern over the high number of student casualties. Myakuzuka frantically insists it's a necessary byproduct for valuable data. He's reminded the project's goal is to develop interpersonal adjustment abilities. He was entrusted with supervising the entire game and its staff. The caller warns him not to let the project result in only casualties. Myakuzuka promises they are accumulating the exact data they need. He declares his absolute dedication to making this project a success. After the call ends, one of his assistants approaches him. She suggests medical care for the students, worried about their mental health. She presents a list of available doctors to help the students. But Myakuzuka furiously rejects her, claiming it would corrupt the data. He scoffs at the idea of caring for their mental state. Believing that data from a soft environment is completely useless, he then downs a whole bottle of pills in front of everyone. With a manic expression, he declares he'll handle it himself. And he walks off, leaving his concerned team behind. Meanwhile, the surviving students gather in a classroom. One of them wonders just how many of them made it through. Suddenly, another student approaches, surprised he survived without his friend. She explains that Sora, the antidote master, is incredibly strong. It seems the guest side also won their event over there, but another student scoffs at how carefree they seem to be. An announcement declares the next class will be a team-based activity. He mutters that this whole ordeal is far from being over. The students are then instructed to head over to the gymnasium. Arriving, they see another group of students waiting inside the gym. They wonder what kind of test is waiting for them now. Suddenly, a strange-looking instructor enters the court with a basketball. He holds up the ball, preparing to ask them something. He casually tosses the basketball into the air. With a sinister grin, he asks if they like basketball. The game they are about to play is called 3 Dead 3. The students realize it's another team-based physical education game. The instructor eagerly moves on to the rules explanation. He calls forward 2 assistants in full fencing gear. This is a game where 3 teams of 3 aim for the goal. Shots from the green area are 3 points, orange are 2. Standard basketball violations like double dribble are not allowed. Traveling also results in a turnover to the opposing team. Malicious fouls like grabbing or shoving will grant the other team free throws. The first team to score 2 points wins, but there's a sinister twist. If you miss a shot and your team fails to secure the rebound, the instructor reveals that the student who shot the ball is eliminated. The students are horrified. Failing to get a rebound means you're out. One of them thinks it's safer to just stay on the bench. But the instructor warns that even substitutes are not safe in this game, because if the opposing team scores 7 points, one substitute is eliminated. The students protest, calling the rules completely unfair and cruel. And if the enemy team reaches 21 points, all substitutes are eliminated. Johansson is furious about these deadly rules. He knows that if their team loses, most of them will be eliminated. He's determined not to let any more of his classmates perish. The instructor adds a twist. A 3-pointer can force a player substitution. With the rules explained, they have 5 minutes to prepare for the game. The students receive their jerseys, the weight of the game setting in. In this world, basketball skills literally determine if you live or die. Johansson quickly starts assessing his teammates' abilities. One of them says he knows the basics, comparing it to street ball. He then passes the ball, asking another teammate about his skills. This teammate played a bit, but quit because he wasn't tall enough. He suggests another girl, Sora, should play instead of being a substitute. But before he can finish, there's a sudden flash of movement. Sora swiftly steals the ball, surprising her teammates. He tries to give her some advice on her dribbling form, but she completely ignores him and goes straight for the shot. The ball sinks perfectly, shocking everyone on the court. She was a regular player but quit to help her family. Another teammate is amazed, having only practiced a little during class. Now he turns his attention to the final 2 members of the team. One of them nervously admits she's never properly handled a ball before. The other finds it much harder to score than he initially thought. A teammate points out that he's obviously a beginner as well. He then realizes their opponent is the formidable Class 1. Johansson tells them to pay close attention to the other team. An opposing player effortlessly dribbles past their entire defense. He then sinks a perfect layup without any trouble at all. Everyone is completely shocked by this player's overwhelming skill. The ace player, however, seems completely unfazed by his own play. He's already focused on the game, ready for what's next. The ace player then makes a surprising offer to someone on the other team. He gets uncomfortably close, proposing they could date if they survive the match. Meanwhile, the opposing team sizes up his strange lineup of all girls. One of his teammates is completely captivated, calling him Sweetie. The other team is confused about facing a player like Amai from Class 1, and they're especially wary of the intense girls surrounding their ace player. They're not just a fan club, they're his fanatical followers called Eaters. Their relationship with him is extremely close and personal, beyond that of a fan. A fierce rivalry is clearly brewing between 2 of the girls on his team. It's revealed these Eaters are predators, and their true target is actually Amai. The buzzer sounds, signaling the start of the next challenge. A mysterious announcer calls for 3 players from each team. Amai steps forward, presenting himself and one of his teammates. He says they're using rock, paper, scissors to pick their 3rd member. Johansson's team knows this next match will be difficult. One of his teammates immediately volunteers, eager to join the fight. Another steps up, confident in his superior strength and height. He considers picking a teammate, but quickly changes his mind. He sees the dangerous look in their opponent's eyes. Amai's team is radiating an incredibly menacing aura. Amai asks for his help, reminding him of their past teamwork. Despite having no experience, Johansson agrees to give it his all. The game master announces a new rule about a point counter. There's a special multiplier if everyone's score is tied. The teams decide who starts the game with rock, paper, scissors. With the first turn decided, the deadly basketball match begins. As the game starts, Johansson is already planning his next move. But an opponent immediately steals the ball right from his hands. The player quickly gets into position for a shot, and effortlessly scores the first point against Johansson's team. The opponent celebrates, eager to score even more points. The scoreboard updates, showing the grim reality of their situation. A teammate worries about the game's dangerous stakes, but the opposing player just scoffs at his concern. He claims he's trying to protect everyone, but they don't believe him. The referee signals for the game to continue, giving them possession. Now it's Class 2's turn and they're ready to attack. Their player immediately rushes forward with blinding speed. He dribbles the ball with incredible skill and precision. He easily weaves through the defense looking for an opening. He moves with an intense aura, leaving his opponent in the dust. Another defender steps up, determined to stop their relentless advance. But with a quick pass, he easily gets around the defense. He pivots sharply, completely outmaneuvering his opponent. The defender realizes the gap in their skills is just too wide. He calls out to his teammate for a follow-up play. As he goes for the shot, a blonde player leaps to intercept. She's confident she can make the block and stop the score. Her hand connects, managing to get a piece of the ball. But despite her effort, the ball still sinks through the net. Excellent! Amai and Mihani celebrate their successful play. He thanks her for the shot, creating a sweet moment between them. But their closeness is making another teammate extremely jealous. Meanwhile, the opposing team is getting chewed out for their poor performance. They consider drastic measures but decide against it to avoid a foul. Back on the court, Kasumi tries to congratulate Mihani on her play. But Mihani angrily slaps her hand away, shocking her teammate. She yells at Kasumi for not being in position under the goal. Kasumi nervously suggests that Mihani should try passing the ball sometimes. Amai watches on, realizing he needs to step in and support Kasumi. Hansel steps in, asking them to support Mihani's skill together. He tells Kasumi to just move as he directs her. Mihani clenches her fist, annoyed by his commanding tone. Back on the court, she wants to pass but can't find an opening. With a defender sticking so close, passing seems impossible. An opponent loudly announces he's going to pass the ball. He dribbles forward as Hansel moves to intercept him. But Mihani easily blocks the intended receiver, calling him an amateur. She says announcing your pass makes it far too easy to steal. The opponent is stunned as Mihani takes possession of the ball. Mihani dashes forward, believing she can intercept the pass. But a massive opponent stands in her way, unimpressed by her speed. He activates a skill, noting the gate is still transparent. He unleashes a powerful pass that sends players flying. The ball smacks Hayato right in the face, taking him out. With everyone down, another player scrambles for the loose ball. She grabs it and immediately goes up for a shot. Her teammates desperately shout for Kasumi to block the attempt. Kasumi moves in to defend, but the shooter is already in motion. She pivots sharply, faking out her defender with quick footwork. The shooter easily slips past Kasumi's defense. Her teammates berate her for the mistake. Kasumi stands there, taking in their harsh words. But then a switch seems to flip inside her. As the shooter drives toward the basket, Kasumi retaliates with a hard shove from behind. The opposing player is sent sprawling to the floor. The referee immediately calls a foul and a free throw. Her teammate helps her up, confident she'll score. Meanwhile, Kasumi's team is furious with her actions. Her teammate yells, reminding her that everyone's lives are on the line. But she screams back that they told her to stop the opponents. The game pauses as the tension on the court rises. The fouled player now steps up to the free throw line. She knows this one shot could change the entire flow of the game. Her teammates agree they must get the ball if she misses. Hansel prepares to fight for the rebound under the basket, but his opponent has a much more sinister plan in mind. The player takes her stance, focusing on the shot. She releases the ball, sending it flying toward the hoop. The ball sails perfectly, heading straight for the net. As the buzzer sounds, Hansel's team watches in horror. It sinks cleanly through the hoop, sealing their defeat. The game is over, and the other team has won. Even the shooter seems completely stunned by her own success. Her teammate frantically tells another player to stay by her side. He sprints away, realizing the situation has become very bad. He knows if the ball gets taken, Ami will be in trouble. But under the basket, Hansel was ready for the rebound. His opponent is shocked by his unexpected defensive move. Hansel pushes past the defenders, who are completely stunned. He successfully secures the rebound, ready to turn the tables. He even taunts his opponent about his powerful but risky legs. With no time to waste, he prepares to make a play. But the enemy ace is already moving to intercept his target, Ami. Hansel realizes it's now or never. He has to take the shot. But just as he releases the ball, it's suddenly blocked. Amai steals the ball, completely reversing the situation on the court. His teammate desperately yells for Kasumi to get back and defend the goal. But Kasumi reminds her she was told not to move without orders. Amai sees his teammates are completely overwhelmed by the opposition. He panics, too afraid of the consequences to take the shot. So another player grabs the ball and makes a break for it. He dribbles with incredible speed, heading straight for the basket. Now facing the last defender, he knows he must shoot. The entire court is frozen as he prepares to score. He leaps into the air, releasing the ball with perfect form. The defenders are left stunned as the ball flies past them. Everyone watches as the ball arcs perfectly toward the hoop. It sinks right through the net. A clean and decisive shot. The opposing player curses as the ball drops through the net. But Hansel is already focused on getting the rebound. His teammate positions herself perfectly to catch the ball, but she lets it drop right past her hands. She mockingly apologizes, saying she wasn't told to catch it. Her blatant sabotage leaves the rest of the team speechless. Suddenly, a referee appears, issuing a red card to number 2. The penalty is for being ignored by his own teammates. Fencing guards appear and begin to drag him off the court. He screams that it's all her fault as he's taken away. The saboteur lets out a horrified scream, completely breaking down. He furiously blames her for their teammates' elimination. From the sidelines, Hansel's team watches the intense infighting. They can't believe a team would just turn on each other like that. The announcer happily introduces a substitute player for the opposing team. The team's ace seems thrilled to see the new player, Chihaya. He asks her to survive this game and then go out with him. Hansel's team is skeptical, as she doesn't look like an athlete. But her teammates reveal her brother is a national basketball player. The new girl is immediately met with jealousy from her teammates. Chihaya confidently tells them she's more valuable to the team. The other team is furious she wasn't put in from the start. She boasts that she can easily handle 3 of them by herself. Her own teammate grumbles about the arrogance of skilled basketball players. Meanwhile, Hayato's teammate encourages him to take his shots confidently. She promises to grab the rebound if he happens to miss. But Hayato is worried since he's being heavily guarded by the enemy. As the game resumes, he makes a break for the basket. But out of nowhere, Chihaya appears and steals the ball. She effortlessly takes control, leaving him completely stunned. The ball suddenly feels slimy and alive in her hands. Chihaya recoils in complete and utter shock. Hayato can't believe what he's seeing on the court. This strange substance is covering the entire basketball. The enemy leader reveals that the ball is actually alive. He explains it feeds on the emotions of the fallen, and right now it's crying over their broken friendship. Chihaya is completely grossed out by the revelation, but Hansel's expression suddenly turns deadly serious. He takes the shot, aiming straight for the basket. The ball flies towards the hoop, shocking Chihaya completely. It sinks perfectly through the net for a clean shot. His teammates erupt in cheers, realizing they can actually win. The celebration gets a little bit emotional between 2 of them, but they quickly pull away from each other in embarrassment. A teammate congratulates him on the incredible shot he just made. Now, a single 3-pointer could completely reverse the situation. Chihaya is still grossed out by the slimy ball. Hansel tells her to do her best for his reputation. The game resumes with Hansel once again in possession. Hansel fakes a shot thinking it's an easy play, but his opponent desperately tries to block the incoming ball. He passes it to Chihaya, who catches it mid-air. She easily dribbles past the stunned defender, leaving him behind. Chihaya goes for the final shot of the game, and it's a perfect swish, securing their victory. Hansel congratulates her, knowing she could do it. While he's celebrating, his other teammates are completely exhausted. The opposing team is absolutely furious with their teammates' performance. They start blaming the blonde girl for their loss. She remembers her struggle, barely able to dribble the ball. The stakes were high. 1 more point and a teammate would be eliminated. She resolved to not let them score a single point more. But an opponent immediately closed in to steal the ball. It seemed like she was about to lose possession. Suddenly, her opponent's foot lands in a puddle of water. The defender slips and goes down hard on the court. Seeing her chance, she drives past and takes the shot. Her own teammates are shocked, as no one is defending the goal. Another player tries to run back, but also slips on the wet floor. She reaches out desperately as she falls to the ground. The chaos continues as another player tumbles over her. The wet basketball sits ominously on the court floor. A teammate on the ground urges Kasumi to pass the ball. She can't believe they might actually have a chance to score. But an opponent dives in, determined to stop the pass. Despite her fear, she lunges forward to grab the ball. She puts everything she has into this final, crucial shot. Everyone watches as the ball soars perfectly toward the net. The other team can only stare in shock as the shot goes in. But suddenly, the system makes a decisive call. A foul is declared, and the shot is ruled invalid. Her teammate tells her to stay calm for the free throw. She nods, focusing all her attention on the ball. She knows she absolutely has to make this shot. She bends her knees, preparing her form, and with perfect aim, she lets the ball fly. It hits the rim, bouncing high into the air. The ball hangs there for a tense moment, and then it falls right through the net. Ami is relieved as her shot finally goes in. Her teammates rush to congratulate her on the amazing shot. Looking at the scoreboard, they realize a comeback is now possible. But on the other side, the tension is rising. One of the opponents furiously blames her teammate for the mistake. The argument gets heated as they start yelling at each other. The insults get personal, completely breaking their team's morale. Johansel sees this as an opportunity and explains his plan. But Brandon is skeptical about pulling off such a difficult play. He reminds them they first need to get the ball back. The opponent's reach makes a shot seem completely impossible for Chihaya. So instead, she lunges for the ball held by her own teammate, Brandon. He's completely baffled by her sudden, strange action. His mind just can't process what is happening. In his shock, he fumbles and drops the basketball. And just like that, Johansel intercepts the loose ball. Brandon stares at his hands, unable to believe his mistake. Johansel sees an opening and immediately pushes toward the goal. He gets into position, ready to take the crucial shot. But he realizes something is terribly wrong with the ball. The ball is suddenly burning hot in Kasumi's hands. He desperately throws it towards the basket anyway, but the shot completely misses the hoop. Johansel simply watches as the play fails. The glowing ball bounces uselessly on the court floor. Kasumi stands there completely baffled by what just happened. Johansel explains he didn't want to get burned. The strange referee appears, commenting on the pathetic play. He gets down low, saying the ball itself is furious. With a red card, he declares player number 4 is eliminated. As she's dragged away, she screams, asking why he wouldn't catch the ball. Johansel says he can't shoot with a traitor on his team. He coldly tells her to just accept her elimination quietly. Her teammate agrees, saying she was basically an enemy for all the fouls. Another teammate remarks that she finally contributed by getting kicked out. The referee then points to the scoreboard, announcing a new player addition. The board flashes, showing player number 7 has joined the game. A cheerful girl with pink hair appears, apologizing for her late arrival. She clings to Johansel, who just tells her to get the rebounds. The opposing team picks up the ball, noting it has finally cooled down. The opponent is confident, vowing not to mess up this time. He quickly dribbles the ball down the court, heading for the hoop. The ball is back to normal, no longer slimy to the touch. But a new defender quickly moves in to intercept his advance. She declares her intent to steal the ball, catching him off guard. And with a swift move, she successfully snatches it from him. His furious reaction completely terrifies her, making her call him a demon. She's left frozen on the court, too scared to even move. He smirks, thinking it's a piece of cake to take it back. But just as he reaches for it, another hand blocks his way. A new challenger appears, declaring she's taking the ball. She easily dodges past him, leaving him shouting in her dust. With incredible power, she leaps high for an unbelievable shot. Everyone on the court can only watch as the ball flies. It sails perfectly towards the hoop in a flawless arc. And it's a clean shot, sinking straight through the net. She turns back with a taunting smile, proud of her play. A system message announces a score and a sudden elimination. One of the players is instantly removed from the game. The remaining players are left stunned by this turn of events. Her teammate celebrates the successful shot, praising her skill. The reward for the three-pointer is substituting an opposing player. He decides to swap out the smallest player on their team. He's been analyzing their physical stats, looking for a weak link. He points directly at Sora, demanding the substitution. Sora's teammate worries, but he says he knows how to play. But another player is concerned that Sora can't fill Amy's shoes. Johansel steps in, explaining they need a new approach now. Their comeback plan relies on a massive score multiplier. He tells them to focus on safety and avoid any risky plays. The game restarts and Tsuyoda immediately pushes the ball forward. But an opposing player aggressively intercepts him, sending them both down. He tumbles to the ground, losing possession of the ball. Tsuyoda immediately calls for a foul, but the game continues. The referee shuts him down, declaring there was no illegal contact. Enraged, Tsuyoda glares at the other team as they advance. The opponent easily breaks through their defense and goes for a shot. He scores with a powerful dunk, widening the point gap. The sheer skill of the other team leaves everyone stunned. Sora realizes he must score to overcome the deficit and save Shiho. Shiho faces her opponent, the pressure mounting with every second. She's completely fed up with his relentless defense. With no way through, she decides to make a risky play. She throws a high lob pass over the defenders. Johansel jumps for the ball, but the pass is wild. He crashes into Emma, and they both go down hard. The loose ball bounces right into Sora's path. He catches it with a clear shot at the hoop. Sora soars through the air, ready to score. But from nowhere, Emma appears with a furious look. She slams into him mid-air, completely stopping his shot. The impact sends her crashing to the floor, and the ref calls a foul. Emma gets up, furious that such a minor play was called against her. Meanwhile, Sora checks on his teammate, who seems to be in pain. She tries to act tough, saying she'll just throw the ball back in. But her hand gives out, and she drops the basketball. Another teammate rushes over, concerned about what just happened. She admits that she's been injured since that last aggressive foul. She asks the team to cover for her while she tries to play through it. He understands the situation and prepares to get back in the game. The game resumes with the ball in their possession. He steals his resolve, dedicating this shot to his team. With perfect form, he lets the ball fly. It soars through the air, aimed right for the basket. The ball sinks cleanly through the net for a point. A perfect shot that secures the crucial point. He celebrates the successful play with a triumphant shout. His teammates on the bench breathe a sigh of relief. But the opposing team reacts with absolute terror. As a penalty for the point, number 8 is eliminated. The opposing team is in complete disarray over the situation. One of them yells, "Do you even realize what just happened?" Their next score will now be multiplied by 5. Meanwhile, the blue team celebrates their successful play. They plan to score quickly before the rules change again. A single three-pointer is all they need to win this. But the orange team puts up a fierce, determined defense. Hansel easily slips past his opponent with the ball. The defender takes a very unfortunate hit from the ball, and another player swoops in to steal it, calling it lucky. But Hansel refuses to let go of the ball. Brandon rips it away and charges down the court. He throws a wild pass towards his teammate, but the pass is way off target, heading for his face. It smacks him directly, a very painful-looking impact. The ball bounces off him in a strange way, and somehow it flies perfectly into the basket. Everyone is stunned as the score updates. He claims that even fortune is on his side now. Hansel's teammates can't believe what just happened. Not only that, but his shot also gets them 5 times the points. And since it was a three-pointer, they get to make a substitution. The opposing team's strategist wonders who to target for the substitution. She glances over at Hansel's benched and inexperienced teammates. One of them, Ami, looks particularly terrified of being chosen. A wicked smile spreads across the strategist's face as she gets an idea. She knows exactly who to pick to exploit their team's weakness. She points out the player with an injured elbow, unable to pass or shoot. The referee calls for number 2 to get on the court immediately. Her teammates can only watch in horror as Ami is called up. Hansel is furious, knowing they're in a terrible situation. Her teammates beg her not to overdo it with her injury. The ball is immediately passed in her direction. She carefully catches the ball, trying not to use her elbow. Hansel asks if she can at least handle light passes. She attempts to throw the ball back to him. But the pain is too much, and she drops it. Hansel quickly recovers the fumbled ball, clearly frustrated. She realizes she's completely useless to the team now. The referee pressures them to continue the game immediately. She can only apologize for letting her team down. The opposing team taunts them, ready for a 3 versus 2 match. They immediately swarm Hansel with their bizarre defensive formation. He's completely surrounded, trying to protect the ball. Their leader smirks, anticipating an easy victory from here. Hansel attempts a shot, but it's immediately blocked. The opponents are playing aggressively to steal the ball. He realizes he's trapped and will lose possession soon. He quickly pivots, looking for any possible opening. It's now or never, so he throws the ball up. He's not just throwing it away, he's actually taking a shot. But it's a feint. He's actually passing the ball across the court. His teammate Sora catches it, but is told to pass it to Ami. Sora hesitates, confused why Ami isn't in a better position to receive. But Ami is standing wide open, glowing with a strange pink energy. Her intense focus surprises everyone on the court. Sora makes a risky bounce pass, hoping she can handle it. In a bizarre move, she lets the ball bounce right off her head. The opposing team is enraged by this seemingly disrespectful play, but it was all part of her plan to secure the ball. She then passes the ball to her teammate for the shot. The ball flies through the air in a perfect arc. It heads straight for the basket, a game-winning attempt. Everyone on the court watches, completely stunned by the play. The ball sinks cleanly through the net for the point. With that, the scoreboard shows the final score. The announcer officially declares that the game is over. Class 4's ace player smiles, having secured their victory. Her team erupts in celebration while the others look on. It's revealed her earlier injury was just a clever ruse. The team wonders how Hayato saw through her deception. He reveals that it was all thanks to Erika. She explains it was the only way to get back on the court. She did it to survive and to help her teammates. Suddenly, a loud crash echoes through the gymnasium. Everyone is startled, wondering what that sound was. A new figure walks onto the basketball court. An underling reports that preparations for the next game are complete. The commander grins, wanting to inspect the device himself. He's shown a briefcase containing a dangerous-looking device. The commander addresses everyone with a sinister grin on his face. He presents a golden scale, asking if they understand its purpose. The players are furious, thinking this is some kind of ridiculous game. He just laughs, explaining that a scale simply shows what is heavier. Hansel is completely baffled and asks him to explain further. The project values things that can't be seen over what can. So, he says, they will be putting invisible things on the scale. A teammate sarcastically asks if they are supposed to measure air. No, he clarifies. They are going to compare the weight of lives. The players will be the ones who have to measure the scale, and the players themselves will be the weights on the scale. He then leads them through a door to a special facility. One of the teammates, Sora, is clearly having second thoughts, but the team leader steps in to offer some encouragement. He reminds Sora that they somehow survived the last game. He rallies the team, saying they must survive this together. Inspired by his words, Sora's determination returns. They are led into a room filled with strange glass pods. The pods are large enough to hold a person inside. A teammate nervously asks what these strange tanks are for. The instructor explains the pods are made of super reinforced glass. A teammate asks why such strong material is even necessary. It's to protect the valuable from the elimination of the worthless. He announces the game will proceed with 3 people at a time. 2 will be assigned a code and enter the tanks as code holders. The remaining person must cut one of the codes within 3 minutes. A teammate nervously asks what happens when a code is cut. The instructor reveals dynamite is placed under the floor of each pod. Cutting a code will trigger the dynamite under the corresponding pod. The team realizes that one person is guaranteed to be eliminated. The instructor adds that only you know your own code color. The 2 chosen can't talk, but they can plead with the cutter. They can either sacrifice themselves or try to deceive the decision maker. The cutter must listen and then decide who gets to live. And with a click of his blade, he reveals this round's cutter is the terrified girl standing right in front of him. The 2 people whose fates she now holds are announced. Shiho Shimizu and Sora Shiai are called to step into the pods. The 2 can only hold on to each other in fear. They question why they have to be put in this situation. The Game Master reveals this scale has a special purpose. It's designed specifically for the Friendship Culling project. Shiho and Sora are ordered to step into the tanks. They look at each other, completely stunned by the command. Sora reluctantly moves towards his designated pod. He finds himself trapped inside the glass container. Now the cutter is instructed to enter the code box. Only she will be told the color of each person's code. She watches her friends' faces appear on the screens before her. The other students, including Yu Hansel, can only watch in suspense. She is secretly told the code color for each of her friends. The timer on her head is also the countdown for their lives. If she fails, she will be separated from them both. The Twisted Game Master gleefully starts the countdown. She realizes she must decide which one of her friends survives. She can't bring herself to make such an impossible choice. Suddenly, Sora's voice comes through from inside the container. With a strange look on his face, he tells her to cut the red. She's completely taken aback by his sudden and direct instruction. As she hesitates, another voice calls out her name. The voice belongs to Shiho, who is also trapped in a container. She urgently screams at her to cut the red wire as well. Ami is completely stunned by the identical yet conflicting instructions. Her teammates are just as confused, wondering why both are saying the same thing. But one of them smirks, understanding the grim reality of the situation. He explains that one of them must be lying to save themselves. Another teammate refuses to believe it, shouting that it can't be true. He knows the close relationship between the 2 people trapped inside. The cynical teammate simply states that everyone is selfish in the end. Meanwhile, both of them continue to desperately plead for her to cut red. She realizes one of them must be lying to save themselves. She remembers how they were all laughing together just moments ago. Overwhelmed by the pressure, Ami begins to break down. The weight of the decision is almost too much to bear, but then, with newfound resolve, she makes her choice. She moves the blade towards the blue wire. She doesn't know for sure who is telling the truth, but she knows who is trying to manipulate her into sacrificing the other. A wire is cut and a red light begins to glow. The device activates, sealing the fate of one of her friends. The system announces that all auditory restrictions have now been removed. A small, knowing smile appears on Sora's face. He thanks Ami, revealing that Shiho is now safe from harm. Shiho watches the monitor in disbelief, confused by his words. It's explained Sora knew Shiho would try to sacrifice herself for him, so he deliberately manipulated her into cutting the blue wire instead. Ami runs frantically through the hallway as the red light flashes. She rushes towards the device where an explosion is now imminent. Sora says her past deception means they are now even. A final countdown begins as the girl in the pod panics. As the timer hits 1, Sora and Ami share a final tragic moment. Sora's last request is for her friend to live on for her. With a final thumbs up, the countdown reaches 0. The device erupts, engulfing Sora in a blinding flash of light. Ami can only watch in horror, screaming her friend's name. The shockwave sends Yu Hansel flying as an automatic cleaning sequence begins. The pod is immediately washed down, erasing any trace of what happened. Once the cleaning is complete, the pod door begins to open. A dazed Ami, now called Shiho, stumbles out of the chamber. She collapses into the arms of her waiting teammate. A system message announces the next code holders have been determined. A sinister figure then declares that Hayato Makabe is the next cutter. The boy is shocked to learn he has been assigned this role. The chosen individuals are then instructed to step into the large tanks. One of the teammates calls out to his friend Brandon. Brandon turns around, completely confused by the sudden turn of events. His friend tries to reassure him, saying that he will be fine. But Brandon is angry and demands to know what he means. His friend confesses that everyone has been helping him until now. He knows he would have been lost without his team's support. He tells Brandon to survive and help everyone like he did before. Brandon is left completely stunned by his friend's words. The scene flashes back to a boy named Naohiko. He was being relentlessly bullied over a book he cherished. The bullies cruelly threw it across the classroom floor. It lands with a thud far out of his reach. As he tried to get it, a bully stomped on it. That's when Yu Hansel appeared, asking to join the fun. The bullies said they were just playing with their target. In the next instant, the classroom door slammed shut. The bully cheekily invites the teacher to join their fun, but the teacher angrily demands to know what the commotion is. The other two quickly apologize and run off down the hall, leaving just Yu Hansel and the ringleader facing each other. The bully just stretches and complains about how boring this is. The scene shifts to another boy who remembers being saved. A strange figure appears, announcing a game for code holders. The players are assigned their code colors, blue versus red. The boy finds himself strapped in, with a timer on his head. The game master declares that the bomb countdown has officially started. He asks Naohiko why he's trying to sacrifice himself so much. Naohiko explains that his school life was actually pretty terrible for him. He had bad timing and couldn't make friends because he spoke his mind. But in the end, he was just so happy to finally get along with everyone. As the timer ticks down, he tells his friend not to make that face. He says there's no need to worry. Like in the previous werewolf game, Naohiko reveals his code is red, telling him to cut it without thinking. But the boy is conflicted. He doesn't want to cut either of them. He stands before the device, facing an impossible choice with little time left. Panicking, he has no idea what he is supposed to do now. With time running out, Naohiko glances back at the silent Brandon. He can't understand why Brandon isn't saying a single word. He thinks back to Hayato, who he survived the other games with. Hayato saved him, and now he wants to do something meaningful too. He desperately pleads for the boy to just cut his red code. The boy brings the cutter to the red wire, about to fulfill the request. He pauses, realizing this is Naohiko's final wish. But then he shouts, "No!" and pulls his hand back decisively. This isn't about doing what he's told, he realizes with clarity. It's a twisted game of weighing the value of one life against another. He realizes this is just like Myakuzuka, comparing the value of human lives. But if he doesn't make a choice, both of them will be lost. So with grim determination, he decides he will be the one to choose. He needs someone who can cooperate in the games ahead. And more importantly, someone he can actually trust. He weighs the two of them, their past actions flashing in his mind. With only seconds left, he finally makes his choice. He apologizes to Brandon and cuts the blue wire, but a system message announces the code has been cut, and something is igniting. Naohiko looks on in utter shock as the platform beneath him glows red. Hayato is trapped inside a glowing red chamber, screaming in panic. The others can only watch in complete and utter horror. Brandon laughs maniacally, revealing this was his plan all along. Hayato screams, demanding to know what is happening to him. Brandon sits back, completely relaxed inside his own container. He smirks, telling Hayato that he was far too naive. Suddenly, a new timer appears on Naohiko's forehead. The system announces the measurement is complete and restrictions are lifted. Hayato furiously pounds on the glass, screaming at Naohiko. Naohiko sees Brandon is red, but Hayato is now blue. Brandon gloats, laughing that it's too bad for them. He proudly screams out that he is the red player. Naohiko demands to know what he did as an explosion is announced, but Brandon just yells back that he didn't say a word. With only 3 seconds left, Naohiko frantically tries to connect the wires. Hayato remembers Naohiko's words of trust, realizing the betrayal. The countdown hits 2, revealing Naohiko's selfish desire to survive alone. The timer ticks down to its final second. Brandon smirks, bidding farewell to the ham actor. And at 0, the entire room is engulfed in a massive explosion. The system begins automatic cleaning as a cutter is dropped. The blade clatters onto the floor, no longer needed. A voice from inside a container says fresh air tastes great. Hayato steps out of a locker, looking around in surprise. He asks Brandon when he realized it was all an act. Brandon smirks, saying he knew before Hayato entered the tank. He noticed Naohiko's eyes gleaming, a telltale sign of a lie. Brandon casually flicks open his lighter, ready to elaborate. He says that no matter what, it was just bad acting. He correctly guessed Naohiko's plan to trick him into cutting his code. Brandon grabs Hayato, saying he knows he can't eliminate that kind of person, but his expression darkens, acknowledging Hayato's true intentions. He warns him to never forget that he tried to end his life. Brandon won't forget it either, calling it a massive debt. Hayato realizes he almost chose the same path as Naohiko. As Brandon walks away, he's lost in his own thoughts. He clenches his fist, admitting he also tried to take a life. Suddenly, Myakuzuka appears, asking if the scale fulfilled its purpose. Hayato panics, wondering if the judgment was truly without error. Myakuzuka is then summoned away to the monitoring room. Myakuzuka announces it's time for a short break. He strides down the hallway with a determined look, but an incoming call immediately sours his mood. He angrily questions being summoned over the school broadcast. The operator explains it was an order from headquarters. Annoyed, he confirms that he is on his way. On his way, he runs into a staff member. He stops her, questioning what she is carrying. He states that he never gave her those instructions. She nervously explains it's for the subject's well-being. He scolds her for acting like she knows what's best. Her mind flashes back to a seemingly normal day at school. She remembers them sharing a simple lunchbox together. She recalls her friend Mai, who was always so grateful. And now Hiko, just quietly enjoying his drink in class. It was just another ordinary day with all her friends. She even remembers offering a drink to their friend Hayato, but the memory twists into a horrifying image of them. They all surround him, their eyes completely empty and dark. Their silent faces ask if they really had no choice but to perish. Overwhelmed by guilt, Hayato screams that he's sorry. He claims there was nothing he could do to save them. He shouts that he didn't want to meet that fate either. His apologies echo as he collapses from the immense guilt. The memory of his desperate words haunts Yu Hansel. He jolts awake from the nightmare, calling out Hayato's name. A girl's voice brings him back, asking if he's okay. Yu Hansel realizes it was all just a terrible dream. An announcement suddenly calls everyone to their next class. The group heads out, but the others look on with concern. They follow a mysterious white-haired instructor to their next class. He turns, revealing a strange number glowing by his eye. A student notices the instructor is wearing special contacts, too. As they continue down the stairs, the world shifts. Suddenly, Yu Hansel's own lenses activate with a bright blue light. The entire hallway around them begins to glitch and distort. They find themselves in a morgue for their next lesson. The instructor begins his lecture on human anatomy. An announcement confirms this class is taking place in virtual space. But one student is suspicious about the numbers on their instructor. Meanwhile, the observers are horrified by the instructor's methods. They realize his lesson is designed for one of the students to perish. The director listens silently to his team's panicked discussion. A staff member demands he make a decision about the rogue instructor. Another agrees, stating his actions are completely unforgivable. They all insist that his command authority must be revoked immediately. But the director worries about the consequences of forcibly dismissing him. He asked what the next class designed by the commander is. The director decides the commander will become a test subject himself. The instructor is suddenly confused by this unexpected turn of events. They want to add data from an excellent commander to their samples. In fact, Yu Hansel was already considered the project's optimal solution. But the commander scoffs, seeing Yu Hansel as weak and fragile. The director listens to his complaints in silence. He then challenges the commander to prove he's the better solution. Until he wins the next class, his command authority is suspended. This is an official decision directly from headquarters. The instructor smugly wishes the former commander the best of luck. He taunts him, calling him by his new demoted title. The commander accepts, vowing to participate in the game class himself. The game master reveals his opponent is Hayato Makabe. Hayato is completely shocked to be chosen for the game. His friend sees this as a chance to get revenge for Sora. He steps forward to accept the challenge. The others decide they will just watch as spectators. They enter a strange room with a large lit-up floor. But a new rule is announced. Non-players can be supporters. It seems they won't just be watching after all. They wonder who Miyakuzuka's supporters could possibly be. A bright light signals the arrival of his team. 3 figures step forward, declaring themselves as Miyakuzuka's supporters. The blonde girl recognizes one of them from an earlier encounter. They were warned that their lives would be at risk, but they feel responsible for not stopping their commander. So, with grim determination, they decide to participate anyway. The 2 opposing teams are now fully assembled in the room. The rules are explained. Supporters get special cards linked to a player's life. These cards have life and death conditions that will be revealed later. In other words, the players hold their supporters' lives in their hands. One of the students can't accept this and yells out in protest. He shouts that he can't trust Yu Hansel with his life. Yu Hansel agrees, haunted by the weight of responsibility for others. He's paralyzed by a traumatic memory of a past failure. Suddenly, a screen in front of them flashes to life. It reveals the conditions for their release, offering a glimmer of hope. If they meet the conditions on their cards, they can be freed. However, their freedom is entirely dependent on Johansel's victory. The opposing team's conditions are then displayed on the screen. His teammate whispers that this might be their chance to escape. They speculate that management finally sees how dangerous their opponent is. One teammate declares they will beat Myakuzuka and survive together, but another member of the team just scoffs at her words. He reminds them that against Myakuzuka, they will probably lose. He then adds with a sinister smile that everyone might die. His defeatist attitude infuriates the blonde girl, who grabs him. She furiously asks if he feels anything for their fallen classmates. She reminds him they only survived because others didn't make it. She even brings up his sister, who is waiting for him. Suddenly, a strange noise draws their attention to the morgue. A system message announces the corpses are stirring for a new event. The morgue doors burst open, throwing them back from the force. They are shocked to see a strange, white-haired figure standing there. Hansel remembers the peaceful days he shared with his sister. He recalls this is the person who started all this chaos. The figure reveals a deck of cards, wanting to settle things quickly. A realization dawns on Hansel. He believes he can return home. All he has to do is defeat this mysterious card-wielding opponent. The game is explained. A battle of trust and doubt for points. Each player will draw a single card from the deck per turn. The deck contains 25 cards, with 20 of them being gold coins, and the remaining 5 cards are something far more sinister. He reveals them to be corpse cards, a nasty surprise. Hansel is completely taken aback by this new information. The rules are simple. Draw a card and declare what it is. But here's the catch. You are allowed to lie about your card. Your opponent must then decide whether to trust or doubt you, and depending on the outcome, one of them will score a point. For example, if someone draws a gold coin and tells the truth, and their opponent correctly trusts them, the opponent gets the point. However, if they wrongly doubt the truth, the point goes to the declarer. Now, let's consider a case where a player falsely declares their card. If their opponent trusts the liar gets 1 point. But if they correctly doubt the lie, the opponent gets the point. It's a game of deception, trickery, and outwitting your opponent. Then the announcer explains the special corpse cards. If someone draws a corpse, lies, and is trusted, a strange figure appears from a hidden compartment. Suddenly, a door creaks open, revealing a terrifying presence. A horrifying monster emerges, reaching out for the player, and all of the opponent's points are stolen by the liar. Conversely, if the opponent sees through the lie and calls doubt, the liar loses all their points to the one who caught them. But if someone honestly declares they have a corpse card and is doubted, the doubter is the one who loses everything. The entire game's outcome depends on how the corpse cards are handled. His friends realize this twisted game was designed by that white-haired man. They demand to know how supporters can even get involved in this. As they confront him, a strange sound echoes through the room. One of them asks what that unsettling noise could be. Suddenly, a hand begins to phase right through the wall. A bizarre, half-skinned mannequin fully materializes in the room. The man explains this is how supporters can use special cards. Anyone on the team can grip its hand to activate a card. However, he warns them that this decision is irreversible once made. There are 3 types of special cards assigned to each team's supporters. The double-up card will double the points a player earns. A shield card protects a player's points from being stolen. And reversal helps a player with fewer points close the gap. Each player can only use 1 card per turn, and never twice. With the rules set, he tells the teams to do their best. And with that, the special class officially begins. The rules are simple. Draw cards for 10 turns, but whatever you draw must be kept a secret. To decide the first turn, a strange mannequin steps in. It asks Hayato Makabe to call heads or tails, using its own eyeball as a coin for the toss. Hayato confidently calls out his choice. Tails. The mannequin flips the eyeball high into the air. It lands on tails, giving Hayato the first move. Without hesitation, he reaches out to draw his first card. Hansel draws his first card, aiming to secure an early point. He decides against bluffing with a corpse card on the very first turn, so he confidently declares to his opponent that he drew a gold coin. The opponent figures there's no point in mind games for the first round. The system prompts him to either trust or doubt Hansel's claim. With a menacing grin, he declares that he will trust the declaration. The game system processes his decision, and just like that, Hansel successfully scores the first point of the game. The opponent simply laughs, unfazed by losing the initial point to Hansel. Meanwhile, an onlooker is impressed by the game designer's formidable strategy. The opponent says even a corpse card is no disadvantage to him. With a wicked grin, he declares he has a gold coin. Johansson must now choose whether to trust or doubt him. He realizes doubting is pointless since his opponent has 0 points. And so Johansson decides to trust him once more. The system begins to process his decision. And just like that, he scores another point. His supporter cheers enthusiastically at his success. As turn 2 ends, a special double-up card is unlocked. This card can double the score gained on the turn it's used. But this powerful card comes with a very serious condition. If the player fails to score, their supporters will perish. The system announces this grim rule to everyone present. The full conditions for the double-up card are displayed. Successful scoring means release, while failure means a terrible fate. Hayato realizes that his performance determines Ami's life. Ami bravely entrusts her fate to him, telling him to use her. He knows one wrong judgment will have a tragic consequence. He carefully considers his next move under immense pressure. Ami adds that not using the card means no one gets released. Ami begs Hayato to save her from this terrible situation. Hayato clenches his fist, his decision now firmly made. He realizes there is no other choice but to go through with it. He reaches out and draws a card from the deck. Using double up is pointless if his points get stolen later. So he declares to his opponent that he drew a gold coin. The opponent replies with a chilling smile, saying he trusts him. Suddenly, a door slides open behind his opponent. A beam of light descends and begins to lift him up. After being released, it's now his opponent's turn to draw. Johansson asks his opponent what card he drew. The opponent claims he also drew a gold coin. His unsettling smile makes the claim hard to believe. Johansson analyzes his opponent's behavior for any tells. He decides to play along, echoing his opponent's words. The opponent's grin widens at Johansson's response. He weighs the odds, hoping it's not the worst-case scenario. The door behind his opponent begins to open, but instead of a golden light, a purple glow appears. A monstrous figure emerges from the ominous portal. The monstrous figure lunges, overwhelming Johansson completely. He's caught, unable to escape the creature's grasp. His opponent simply laughs at his terrible misfortune. But it was just a vision. Now it's turn 5. He weighs the statistics, considering a different strategy. He declares his card, revealing he drew another corpse. His opponent confidently calls his bluff, doubting the claim. He taunts Johansson, asking if his luck has run out. His friends watch as the score gap keeps getting wider. The opponent reveals his card, moving on to turn 6. His opponent declares he has drawn another corpse card. Johansson is shocked by this incredibly bold claim. He considers trusting, but there are still 4 corpse cards left. He knows it's too risky, but what if it's actually true? With only 4 turns left, he can't afford to miss this chance. He realizes it's a trap, and confidently calls his opponent's bluff. A flash of light confirms he made the right call. As turn 6 ends, the special shield card is now unlocked. This card protects a player's points from being stolen for 1 turn. However, if the shielded player scores, their supporter is eliminated. A supporter explains that if his player fails, he'll finally be free. He then leans in, reminding Johansson to repay a past debt. Johansson wonders if he can handle the weight of another person's life. He clenches his fist, recalling a past failure he won't repeat. Back at the table, a player makes her move with a manic grin. She declares to everyone that she is using the special shield card. With a sigh of relief, she feels completely safe from any point loss. She then orders her supporter, Hayato Makabe, to draw a coin immediately. Johansson confronts her, reminding her that scoring means her supporter is eliminated. She just smiles, saying this turn is a break since her score can't decrease. Johansson angrily asks if she cares about anyone else. She coldly states that supporters are merely pieces in the game, and caring for them is a weakness that will lead to his defeat. But Johansson refuses to treat his teammates as disposable pawns. He reveals his drawn card, declaring it's a corpse. His skill activates, analyzing her and confirming she is a corpse. Her confident smirk falters for just a moment. She quickly regains her composure and challenges his claim. Meanwhile, another participant trembles in fear from the intense pressure, as a strange purple energy begins to emanate from the room's exit. A new voice echoes through the arena with a well, as a supporter is suddenly eliminated for a player's score. The white-haired player reveals the obvious trick in the game. If the player had just lied, his supporter would be fine. He taunts his opponent for his selective sense of justice, reminding him that protecting his supporter was his job. Enraged, Hayato declares he absolutely cannot let this guy win. He decides to use his special card, Double Up. His own supporter watches, confident that Hayato will score. The game now proceeds to the 8th turn. Hayato maniacally declares he will draw a gold coin. Hansel calculates the high probability of drawing a gold coin. But if it's a corpse, the points will be doubled. With his shield, he just needs to defend 2 more turns. But he remembers Ami's life is at stake, not just probability. He decides to put his complete trust in his supporter. The supporter's door opens with a brilliant light. Ami clasps her hands, focusing all of her power. A powerful skill activates, confirming their success. His supporter emerges, bringing a new card with the number 2. The supporter proudly presents the newly acquired number 2 card. It flies over, delivering the card directly to Yu Hansel. His number increases to 3 as he thanks Ami for her trust. The girls celebrate their successful plan, thanking him for his efforts. Yu Hansel is now determined to use these cards and save everyone. He has the shield card, but the reversal card remains unavailable. Across the table, his opponent reveals a sinister grin. The opponent confidently plays their double-up card to steal points. But Yu Hansel immediately counters by activating his shield card. He explains that this turn, his points are completely protected. The rules are cruel. If he scores, Brandon is eliminated. He realizes he must let his opponent score to save Brandon. With the right play, he believes he can save both of his allies. So he boldly declares that he has drawn a corpse card. The opponent now faces a critical decision from below. He knows Yu Hansel's points are safe behind the shield card. But if he doubts and is wrong, he'll lose all of his points. The opponent considers the high stakes for everyone in the room. With a wicked smile, he makes his choice. I doubt you. He's certain Yu Hansel is bluffing to protect his teammates. The opponent's doubt was wrong. Yu Hansel scores and frees the investigator. He accepts his loss, calling Hansel's compassion a fatal flaw. Even his own teammate thinks saving an enemy is completely insane. As turn 9 ends, a new special card called Reversal is unlocked. But using this powerful card means the supporter is eliminated. The team is shocked, not understanding this sudden, cruel twist. They realize if the card isn't used, Shiho will be left behind. But if they use it to win, their teammate Shiho will die. The opponent simply smirks at the impossible choice they now face. He calls it the penalty for their incompetence and useless baggage. But one teammate screams at him to use the reversal card. She demands that he take down their demonic opponent. But he refuses. He can't bring himself to do it. The opponent simply laughs, knowing it's an impossible choice. She pleads with him, saying reversal will give him a fighting chance. He turns to Shiho and apologizes for what he must do. But he can't go through with sacrificing her for the win. She smiles, knowing his kind nature, but says she's sorry. She makes him promise to defeat their enemies and avenge their friend. Yu Hansel is left completely stunned by her sudden declaration. She begs him not to let her sacrifice be in vain. The reversal card is used and she vanishes before his eyes. Their opponent mocks her choice as the 10th turn begins. He tells Yu Hansel to be grateful for her foolish sacrifice. Now, only a few gold coin and corpse cards remain in play. A new resolve hardens in Yu Hansel's gaze. He slams his hands down, channeling his grief into focus. He remembers her words, knowing everything is on the line. The enemy taunts him, asking if he'll waste their deaths. Yu Hansel glares back, declaring that the game isn't over yet. Yu Hansel desperately wonders if there's any way to stop this. But her calm expression shows her decision is already made. He realizes that nothing he says can change her mind now. Her resolve is completely unshakable, so he hardens his own resolve to match hers. He vows to keep his promise and activates his ability on her. She smiles peacefully and thanks him one last time. The enemy is left utterly bewildered by this development. He sneers, mocking Hansel's twisted view of his teammates. But now, a cloaked figure appears behind him, ready to strike. The enemy turns in shock, not believing what's happening behind him. A massive scythe swings through the air with incredible speed. The cloaked figure's attack lands squarely on the unsuspecting foe. The impact sends a shockwave of pink energy through his body. With his final breath, he realizes that it's all over for him. The others can only watch as their friend's form begins to fade away. Suddenly, the entire world around them starts to glitch and distort. Back in the classroom, his friend tells him their debt is now even. The girl he saved tearfully expresses her immense gratitude to him, but their relief is cut short by 2 men in suits calling his name. The 2 men thank him, regretting they couldn't stop the plan sooner. Yu Hansel and his friends listen to their apology in silence. Suddenly, a bandaged figure appears, radiating a menacing aura. It quickly turns its head towards the group, and in an instant, it collapses to the ground, defeated. His friends comment on the irony of the Friendship Connection project. They begin to recall the entire incident from the beginning, all the way through to its very end. The whole experience felt like a terrible, unending nightmare. A scream echoes as the memory of the school returns. The memory of the tragic aftermath was a painful one. But now, they finally return to the outside world. A woman runs towards them, calling out to the group, It's Brandon's mom, and he happily waves back. His friends are completely shocked by the sudden reunion. Then, a little boy runs towards his big sister. She holds him close, overjoyed that he's safe and sound. Tomitaka smiles, telling her to go to her brothers. Suddenly, his own little sister comes running for him. She embraces him, so glad her big brother is back. His little sister then asks him where their mom is. He explains she was arrested for being involved in fraud. Tomitaka is frustrated by his mother's actions, but his sister's hunger quickly changes the mood. He smiles, promising to make her some fresh curry. This time, he'll even add some meat to it. Half a year later, they visit a memorial site. Tomitaka kneels to pay his respects to the fallen. They stand before the monument for the victims. Suddenly, a familiar face arrives to join them. It's Tomitaka proposing a get-rich-quick scheme to Hayato, but Kisaki quickly intervenes, telling him to leave Hayato out of it. Tomitaka insists it's a completely legitimate business opportunity. The two of them have an intense stare-down over the matter, but the tension quickly dissolves into shared laughter among the friends. Tomitaka then suggests they all go out for a fancy steak dinner. Hayato is hesitant about the cost, but Tomitaka says it's on him. He gives a thumbs up, saying it's his duty to treat his friends. As they walk, Hayato seems to be quietly reflecting on something. Then he looks up with a warm smile, enjoying the moment. He remembers his friends calling for him, their leader, to hurry up. And with that, this chapter of their story comes to a close.